All right. What's up, everybody? How you doing out there? Welcome back to the show. This is last week's fight. My name is Thinker St. James, and tonight we are going over each and every fight from Noche UFC, Lopes versus Silva, taking a look at week 5 of the Contender Series. And to do all of that, with me as always, the Ohio player, a man representing Mexico tonight with the flag in the background, the Ohio player, Chase Parton. How are you, sir?
Dude, I'm good. It's dude, always a good one when we have fights on Saturday, and especially better when we have fights on the Tuesday before. So, can't wait to get into a lot of things. I'm really having a good day.
Absolutely. Same here. And before we get into anything, a huge shout out to our buddy Bloomis coming through with the great new last week's fights theme song. If you got here at the very start of the stream, you saw the new intro graphics and the new music was playing as well. So big thank you to Bloomis. He is a very talented musician, and we are very happy to have his song representing this fine program.
Oh, absolutely. I was just typing to Thinker right before the thing. I said, "Yo, the song really hits right when we're ready to start the show." We got that 3, 2, 1, and the song is just going, and dude. Listen, it's great. Bloomis, shout out to you. You're the fucking man.
Absolutely. Much appreciated for that. Yeah, so, we're going to get into all of these fights from the Contender Series and from Noche. If you are new to the program and have anything that you want to talk about that's outside of the scope of what we were talking about fight wise at the time, put it in the chat. Remind us a little bit later in the stream. Come back and address it at that time. And also, before we get into the fights for the show itself, I did want to mention that on the same evening as Noche was the Canelo Crawford boxing match. Of course, this was a very major event in boxing and a big outing for TKO Holdings, the parent holding company of the UFC. And Chase, you said you did not see it, right?
I did not see this. No, I did not.
Yeah, well, you would have had to have tacked on an extra, what was it, 5.5 hours onto your stream if you had. So probably better off for it. But we went the marathon route. We did an 11-hour marathon stream to do Noche and the Canelo Crawford fight. Um, what I will say about it was that Terrence Crawford is absolutely one of the best boxers in the world, best boxers of all time. He's certainly on the Mount Rushmore. Boxing in and of itself is boring. I really can't say any other way about it. The fight was entertaining in an interesting sort of way. It was cool to see the strategy of it. But boxing in and of itself, by itself, like boxing is not boring in the grand scheme of things when it's mixed with other martial arts, but boxing just by itself in a box, if you will, it's just you want more as an MMA fan. You know what I mean? Like you've watched boxing before, Chase. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily just the MMA fighter in me that doesn't like boxing. I think it's an attention span thing. Like just not much is going on in boxing. Not enough that makes me really care. And even, when you go to mixed martial arts when there's matches that aren't very exciting. Or, don't have my attention. I'm clocked out kind of deal. So I think just boxing, as soon as they start grabbing each other and holding, I'm like, oh, fucking God.
Well, and it leads me right into my other point is that I got to that to the event stream for that. I think I saw 4 matches total. In those 4 matches, and this is supposedly, I mean, at least for the main event, undercard is I guess a mixed bag, but this is like the highest level in the world in the main event, of course. 0 knockdowns, 0 knockouts. So
Nice.
when you pair that with no other mixing of the martial arts, no other activity of the body aside from strikes up top into the body, it's just again, it feels lacking, is all that I'll say about that. But for his efforts, Terrence Crawford outclassed Canelo in an amazing way and definitely deserves to be heralded as one of the best of all time and now a 3 weight champion. So that is very impressive and shout out to him for that. I also noticed, bringing it back to the MMA sphere, so you might have saw this, Chase, on Noche during, I believe that it was, during David Martinez's fight. Did you notice that the translator was not our boy Fabiano?
Uh, for that specific fight only, I did not notice that. I thought I noticed him any other time.
No, no, it was not Fabiano there. And I tell you how I know this for a fact is because he was not in San Antonio, Texas. He was at the Canelo Crawford fight. They were cannibalizing UFC for this event, and that I did not appreciate. They got John Anik on the broadcast. They had Fabiano translating, and I believe that they had Chrissy Blair, one of the ring girls, as one of the ring girls for that event too.
Oh, they even took our hot girl. Come on, what are you guys doing? Now, this is where I draw the line. Like, you can have Anik and the translator, but not the ring girl. Just absolutely no poaching when it comes to this.
Exactly. We got lucky that we had our special Noche specific ring girls. You know.
I will say what's unfortunate, and I think, there's always rules and different adaptations to the sport that come along as eras change. I mean, you see bare knuckle. I mean, that's the real boxing that people will actually pay to see these days. So something's going to have to change with these top level boxers, or we're going to have to start looking at it a little different. Like, if they don't want to go compete in bare knuckle, well, we're going to have to start thinking about them a little different, in my opinion. I don't know.
Perhaps. I mean, it's crazy that there's still so much money in traditional boxing. I mean, apparently Canelo got $100 million for that fight. So, obviously someone's still paying for it. Turkey El Sheikh, I guess. The Saudis are certainly putting money into it. So there must be some interest somewhere. Like you said, I feel like we've gotten past it a little bit, just with the variety of what you get from the combat in mixed martial arts. It's everything. So why would I limit myself to one portion of it? And if I was going to limit myself to one portion of it, I would probably want it to be Muay Thai, because that still has more elements than boxing does.
I definitely agree with that sentiment right there. But what I'll also say is a lot of the boxers that we're seeing, and maybe it's not even a lot of them, but some of them are just unwilling to transition. What I would say the most interesting boxers are right now, they're not necessarily the best, but the people that I would pay to see are the ones who are coming from mixed martial arts and trying to go against those who have put their whole lives into just boxing. And like Francis, Darren Till's another one, Luke Rockhold. But I don't know. I just still am just not finding the excitement factor with a lot of these other people that have just dedicated their whole lives to it, but they won't. Like Clarissa Shields, one that I'll talk about. She just won't. She wants to talk about how she's the best in boxing, and Cyborg has been calling her out in MMA for a really long time now. But like, she just wants to stay in boxing, and I don't know. There's just like, we see MMA people cross over to boxing, but we don't see boxers cross over to MMA, and it's like clear there's probably a reason. So
Yeah, absolutely. Most definitely. So, I mean, I just wanted to mention it because it was a huge combat sports event, and obviously the tie-in with TKO Holdings and the UFC and the like. So Dana was there, of course. Skipped out. I skipped out not only on Noche, but skipped out on handing out the Ultimate Fighter winner trophy as well. So we'll get into that when we get to Noche. But yeah, so that's pretty much all that I got to say about Canelo Crawford. Also, the other thing about the events, and the very last point that I'll make, is that they draw boxing events out with so much extra bullshit. I do not need concerts in my combat sports. If I wanted to watch the circus, I'd watch the circus. I'll go to a concert for music. Give me the fighting. This thing was 4 fights over the course of 5.5 hours. This could have been streamlined so much, and I hate that about boxing events.
right after Dana said he's not going to do what every other boxing promotion does, which is have podcasts and concerts in between every single fight.
So, it certainly was exactly like every other boxing event that I've ever
Love
seen at
to
that level.
see it.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, shout outs to me for staying through it all. But that's about it for Canelo Crawford. So, all of that being said, do you want to talk about the Contender Series, sir?
Dude, let's do it.
I think we should, because this was a fun one. This is, we were talking before the stream started, and we were saying that like this was along the lines of what you want out of the Contender Series. I feel like week 1 we got a little bit off to a shaky start, but since then these last couple of weeks have been pretty fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So starting it off, Chanel Dyer versus Carol Foro. Yeah. So this was an interesting one, just considering the circumstances with Chanel Dyer specifically. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, she did have an insane backstory, and she definitely is one of the most decorated, athletes that we've ever seen, like in the sport. I mean, the picture of her holding like 30 damn medals and shit is ridiculous.
That I was just going to say to put this into context, if you didn't see the image, she's sitting on the floor and she is surrounded by medals and belts and all kinds of accolades, and it goes all around her body. I mean, like every square inch of the image, aside from her in the middle, was all medals and belts and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. And so when you see something like that, you're like, "Oh god, obviously she's going to come in here and she's going to have so much skill that, her opponent is going to have to be really fucking good for her to overcome that." But then you get on there and the promo comes and it's just Carol talking about how, I was just overweight last fight. I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the gas tank and I couldn't yada yada yada. And it's
Well,
like, okay, yeah,
the
go
other
ahead.
part of it was not just the belts, is the fact that I guess Chanel Dyer, I think she said one of her coaches
Well,
had
yes.
that was the other thing, right? I mean, her
Yes.
coach apparently was murdered, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, that's kind of a crazy circumstance there, and all the accolades, and then yeah, the juxtaposition of Foro saying, yeah, just had to get my nutrition right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she's just a little pudgy Brazilian, and then so what? And that's what's hilarious about it, and that's what's so cool about the Contender Series is because you can just get people who are just real about it. It's like, I was just a little fat. I was just out here just doing shit, but now I'm locked in. Then you have somebody who's like, I've been here my entire life. I've had this crazy backstory. I've donned the mantle of the nickname of my coach who had been murdered, or anything like that. Like there was a real like good story being built for both of them. And then when you get to this fight and you see Carol just beat the ever living shit out of Chanel, it wasn't even like, okay, so Chanel, yeah, she showed a lot of heart, and I definitely agree she needs to be in the UFC because there's not 50 women that you can name right now that are going to get up from an ass whooping like that every single time. So shout out to her because that's the only reason that she probably needs to be in there, because other than that, she was again getting her ass whooped. What was also unfortunate is that every time Carol dropped Chanel, she didn't pounce on her. She just hit her with the, "Are you going to stop getting up now?" Like she just let her get up every single time. If Carol actually really went for it and didn't want to gas out like she was, and she kind of did a little bit later, but if she was able to pounce on those opportunities, not able, she just could have. I don't know why she didn't. She just wanted her to stop getting up, but she would have just beat her in the first round. But the fact she allowed Chanel to keep getting back up, it definitely made a spectacle of a fight. Like that was the reason that we continue to watch because damn, like girl, you got to stop getting up at one point, and she didn't. So shout out to Chanel, shout out to Carol. Both getting a contract is absolutely beautiful. Shout out to motherfucking Dana White for that one.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things I've said consistently throughout the Contender Series watch-alongs is that I've got plenty of criticism of Dana White and the UFC when it comes to how Dana goes about giving out contracts. I always think that he's really spot on. Like this is another one. The only one I think there was one time last episode where I was like, I thought one guy who lost should have gotten that alternate, like, oh, we'll call you if somebody drops out thing and didn't get it. But other than that, I'm always in pretty lockstep agreement with who gets contracts, and this is no different here. Because yeah, Dyer was she's tough. I mean, she's definitely tough. The craziest part to me was that she has a Muay Thai background, and I mean, like, not to say that it didn't show, but like it was really the toughness and grit that she had, as opposed to a lot of like solid technical striking that was on display. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Foro was just having a really nice, easy field day with all of the, all of the striking. Cause it's not like Foro was really trying to get it to the ground, like consistently time after time. It was like, they were on the feet for a lot of this fight.
Yeah. No, Carol, dude, she's honestly so slick. She's sick. Like she's one of those baby faced assassins that like she comes out of Brazil. Listen, whatever they feed women in Brazil, I gotta find out because they are all built like trucks and they hit like nukes. Like they are just fucking insane. Like, dude, the way she dropped her every single time was just brutal. Like just folds her over, cut her open with even punches. I think it was like I don't think she ever threw an elbow. It was like just straight mean slugs the entire time, which was brutal. And then stuffed 11 takedowns is nuts. Like I don't remember 11 shots from this girl because they must have been just like from her knees after she got knocked down, and then she just like shoved her to the side. But Carol, I'm actually a huge fan of this girl right here. This was a great performance.
Yeah, yeah, really, really impressive performance for Foro, and Dyer getting a contract too is fine considering how tough she was. So, great way to start this thing off, and both ladies moving on into the organization. We'll see how either of them fare, of course, but certainly a lot of determination on both sides.
I can't believe now that I'm looking at that because like I didn't listen to the judges on this because who won this fight. Like it
Oh
was
yeah.
clear as day. No, 10-8s is pretty nuts. I mean, she fucking whooped her the first 2 rounds. Like, dude, there was no chance. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. There probably might have been room for a 10-8 in there, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's just the fact that she was like really trying to push forward. I give her at least a credit for fighting through the flame. You know what I mean? Like that's because there really was not much retreat in Dyer at any moment in there. So I mean, like it was a lot of you hit me with your best shot and do it for a second time.
Yeah, it was really just a bad matchup, and I think bad style for Chanel. Like she didn't really. If she's a Muay Thai girl, she didn't utilize it right. So it, I don't know. She just needs a better matchup.
Yeah, well, and which is crazy. I kind of trailed off on the thought initially, but yeah, a Muay Thai fighter and trying to go for 11 takedowns, which yeah, that definitely was not 11 actual full on takedown attempts. But either way, even if it's more than a handful, more than a Muay Thai fighter generally is going for, so you can tell that she was in a little bit of rough terrain on when it came to this fight, and. I mean, I think that there's probably room for improvement, but you'd think that with all of those accolades that she would be leveled up to being at the level she needs to be. But well, I guess we'll see how she does in the UFC proper.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I'm excited. I mean, she may get her ass whooped again, but I will definitely like to see if anybody's gonna stop her. Like, so
And yeah, and now that Meatball Molly is out of the equation, England needing more females besides Melissa Mullins, and this is one that you can get behind England. So show some love to your girl.
hell yeah, she may continue to lose. That's what I'll continue to say.
Well, you root for her either way, right?
Yeah,
All right, well, moving on to the next one here. This was Chasen Blair versus Samuel Sanchez, and this Sanchez guy came in here and annihilated Mr. Blair.
I would like to offer you a different point of view because
Uh-oh.
he did knock him out. He did knock him out, but the knockout was a little funny looking. I don't know what happened here. Like, delayed reaction, sure, but if you watch the replay, so he cracks him and then he does his whole delayed reaction on the way down. This Samuel Sanchez dude whiffs 3 punches. He whiffs a hook while he's falling. He punches him straight, misses, and then tries to uppercut and whiffs all. I'm like, this dude's unconscious. Fall. How are you not hitting a lifeless body? And so like he got the knockout against some bum, but like you really missing. That's a head not moving. I mean, it's moving downwards, but like, yo, this is a lifeless body, and you missed every single shot up
Well,
close.
so I know you posted the clip in the Discord, so I know what you're talking about here. The one what I'll counter with is that the one swiping shot that he gets to start that combo off, he whiffed the second two, but what I think happened is that he swiped through so hard in that one shot that it was just like it went through his face.
I think there was minimal connection, but it is the grazing ones that do it, but like I think it was just a big old whiff and he just like caught wind and fell. I don't know. I
Well,
really
then,
don't.
how about this for a thought process? Then the shot that ended up starting the sequence to drop him was just the beginning of it. Those extra shots were air to push the body over.
That's what I think was more like it. Like, I'm not putting too much stock into the Samuel Sanchez dude just because if it was anybody else, they're rocking the fuck out of that dude on the way down. Like, we've seen it plenty of times, dude. Alex Bejeda punches Sean Strickland in the face 3 times before his body lands on the fucking mat. Like, this dude misses all 3 of them. So whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying it's something that this dude might have bad depth perception. I don't know. Like, this dude really is. This is just all I'm seeing here.
It could be. I mean, it's better to throw the punches and then not land than for him to just go.
Yeah, I
You
mean, you are right. You are right. Jesus.
but yeah, no, but Sanchez, I mean, up until that point, really in command of this thing too. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, but he didn't
Fucking
do.
threw one strike and missed.
I mean, bro, legitimate goose eggs down the line for Mr. Blair over here. Sad, it's the Contender Series. Obviously, you're getting a hodgepodge of people mixed with each other. Maybe Blair comes back another time and has a better day, but the stats are are pretty crazy too that he was the favorite in this fight. But yeah, you know, you got a little bit of control time and apparently 3 takedown attempts. Again, kind of wild. He was trying for it a little bit. You see, they gave him a minute and a half of control, but either way, to have complete goose eggs for all of the major stats, and then Sanchez just coming in here and blasting him, getting the job done early was pretty impressive. So, you know, it could be a fluke because it's a Contender Series, but for now, Samuel Sanchez getting the job done and in emphatic fashion.
I don't know. There's just like two phases to Dana's excitement. There's the wow, like that was good, and then there's the stand up, and he's going into to shake their hands and shit.
Yep.
This dude's just a wow. That was
Yeah.
cool. That was fucking badass. You know, like
Yeah.
he didn't even like write any notes. He's just like cool. Yeah.
And I like that too, because like you know, if you go back and rewatch some of the watch alongs, I like, you know, having seen myself on camera for however long I've been doing this, like that's kind of mimics real life too. You know, sometimes you see a knockout and you're just like, oh my fucking God, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And there are other times it's like, damn, yeah, wow, Jesus, that really went down like that, you know? So yeah, so I get it. I'm with that, you know, and the at least there's some honesty left in that frame of his.
Yeah, true.
All right, well, that was that. Next one up was Felipe Franco versus Freddie Vidal. This was the entertaining portion of the evening. These two guys flopping around.
I I think there's only thing that made me mad is because I'm watching this fight, right? First round was fine because it's like, okay, light heavyweights, you know, there's a teacher involved. Let's see what he's going to do for his students. He better not cheat. Don't give him the wrong message in life. That's all that I'm thinking. You better do it by the books. And so he's fighting. Fight goes on a second round. Fight goes on a third round. They're terrible. They're not good at all. And then Freddie Vidal ends up getting a submission late in the fight, very, very late. And then they go to the crowd shot, and it's fucking Aljamain Sterling jumping this fucking seat. Yeah, he's like, no wonder this is what you find fucking exciting, brother. Like this is why you are so bad. Like you love fights like this.
Oh my God.
No, but like I'm serious. Like it made me mad seeing him so excited. It's like, why are you cheering for a performance like
He's
this?
a Sarah Longo guy.
I don't care. Like you gotta be a real guy. You listen, if that was my homie, like shout out to you. You got it done, but like, yo, we got to get back to the training room, dude. Like it clearly, I don't know, bro. It was short notice, and like he said, it was short notice. You know, give me another opportunity. And I agree with the final result, him doing the same season turnaround. Hear me out. How does putting him on another short notice bout may help anything? He was just already on a short notice bout, but
well, he's going to be on the very last episode of the season. So this is episode 5. He'll be on. So it's going to be
5 weeks.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, you know, a month. I think that's enough. No, I mean, that's decent size camp. I would say that's we're going to talk about Kelvin Gaston a little later. Say, oh, you know, 4 weeks notice couldn't make the weight. But whatever, we'll talk about that when that time comes.
I think it's just, you know, you have a light heavyweight who already was out of shape and cutting down to where he needed to be. He's not going to be able to actively like keep his grind up because he's going to be still cutting and still having to drop this weight. Like he's still trying to, you know, get there, you know, while the other dude is just living his fucking life, eating cheeseburgers at his weight because he's ready to go. You know, whatever you want to say.
I mean, it might be. Well, we'll have to see what condition he comes in. He's training Sarah Longo, so you know that team has graduated some pretty successful fighters. So I would think that their cuts are going to be, you know, as successful.
I will say that, you know, when Ray Longo came out with him and he looks like the way he does, you just don't think that he would be able to like he's like Pat Riley, like or fucking Phil Jackson. Like he just really can tap into those great now, I'm not going to say great personalities. I'm talking about this guy, but you know, we'll see what happens. He did get the finish. I mean, if anything, Ray Longo's dudes, I mean, hey, he went for the fucking finish here. I'll give him that. So
yeah, this fight was entertaining, mostly because it was actually a really two-way fight for a lot of it, even if it was a slow two-way fight. This was light heavyweight. This fight was like a heavyweight fight.
This was super heavyweights. Dude.
Yeah, these guys were big, clunky dudes. With Felipe Franco being such a big favorite, I mean, it's like he was in control for a decent amount, but like. Vidal had answers for a lot of what he was doing, so it was like going both directions. It really could have gone either way. I mean, now granted, if Vidal had not gotten the finish, it probably would have gone to Franco. So, credit enough where credit is due, because he was doing decently, but not so far in ahead that a submission wasn't possible. And as you saw, a submission was certainly possible because Freddie Vidal pulled it off very late in the fight. So pretty amazing that he was able to get that turnaround. But yeah, this whole thing was a lot of sloppy wrestling and a lot of reversals on the ground too. That's a credit to Vidal where credit is due on that too. Like anytime that Franco had him in a tight jam, he somehow figured out a way to get out of it and just kept the action moving, kept it moving, and got himself into a position that he wanted very late in the fight. So pretty amazing turn of events that he was able to finish it. Dana says that he did not get a contract here. He's going to have another opportunity on the last episode of this season. So if he can come out there looking a little bit fresher, maybe a little bit more in shape, maybe next time he's up, he'll get the contract.
Yeah, I think this is just what's good about Dana. Like you said, he's always real. A lot of people would have gave this guy a contract, but I think that's where Dana he knows best. Like he really knows that like it's just not there yet. We can't give it to you now, but if you earn it, give you one more and you show us that you're really, really fucking locked in, like then we give it to you. But as of right now, Freddie Vidal, I'm thankful you didn't get a contract, brother, because I would not have been hyped to see you come into the. I mean, after next one, you might show me something that you better show me something crazy because look at Therese Finney. I mean, you got to understand that people can just keep getting rejected. I don't think anybody's going to be able to come back for a third time like Therese Finney. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. Like the dude that just got finished the other week who got finished, the last time or whatever, like he ain't coming back. But if you continue to get wins, I mean, it's not a good thing to not get the contract. So Freddie Vidal, just get in shape, and I think you'll probably get it because the only thing that was bad was just the cardio performances, and in the midst of doing nothing, there was also just nothing happening. So like it was just a very boring performance until you finally, got behind this dude and he gave up. That's really what happened. It wasn't like a holy shit, he sunk in the nastiest choke and got like it's like, all right, he was done. Just call it, just tap him out, whatever. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, and being as kind of sloppy as they were, you can get away with that at heavyweight, especially if you're a wrestler, because there's not that many wrestler grapplers at heavyweight. But at light heavyweight and basically anything below heavyweight, you're in a much more competitive pool. And yeah, neither of these guys would be competing against a mid-level light heavyweight in the organization right now.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know it was light heavyweight until you said it. Like I came into this episode remembering this fight, thinking, yeah, those two slobs that fought. Why is he trying to make light heavyweight? Just go heavyweight. Just go. If you can't make light heavyweight, you know what's right there? Heavyweight. And you know
Yeah.
what you fight like? A heavyweight.
It's very true. I mean, and we've seen a number of light heavyweights go up to heavyweight recently and have much better success there. So maybe
It,
that's your path.
yeah, it's crazy too because the people that go up to heavyweight are like, they're kind of like, they're different builds to bring different skill sets to heavyweight. But like this dude literally is just a heavyweight that would bring nothing better to light heavyweight, in my opinion. Like, what what are you going to do? Like if with an extra time and camp, like I already saw the game and it's of a slob heavyweight that wrestles. Like I don't know. So
Yeah, yeah. Take the Vitor Petrino route. I mean, move up. If you're a wrestler, then you got plenty of options up there.
yeah, I'm actually just in awe about that. I like that's crazy that this was light heavyweight. Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly. If you go back and watch this, you'll understand why we feel that way, because it really felt a lot like a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
All right, that was that one. This was a very quick one here. This was Cam Teague and what was it? It's
Larry and Douglas.
well, no, it's pronounced double R is a yeah Leyan, I think Leyan. I think that's what it was. Yeah, I think it's Leon Douglas, I believe, because it's he's Brazilian with the double R, I think. Oh, Leon, that's what it is. Double R is an H sound. Yeah, so Leon Douglas is his name versus Cam Teague here.
Okay. This one was also just Cam Teague was actually the dude that I was talking about, like the dude who gets knocked out and then gets knocked out again, coming back to the Contender Series. I mean, you're done. I mean, you're just so cooked, Cam Teague, and I even talked about this the first time he was on Contender Series because if you look at him, you'll realize what I'm about to say. When you have the look of somebody who's a goofball, right? You purposely do this. Like, you could obviously have a more intimidating look if you really wanted to, but no, you want to have the curly orange hair with the orange beard. I get it. It's cool. It's aesthetic. It's your thing. But brother, you cannot get knocked out in the first round looking like that, because it does you no justice. Everybody's gonna be like, exactly. I mean, he looks like the type of dude that'd get knocked out in the first round, you know. And what I also will say about this one, I don't know if you noticed the dumbass ref in this fight. Um, you know,
I mean, remind me here.
so Mr. Douglas gets the knockdown. Cam T gets up after the first one, and he was getting up, but the ref was coming.
Oh, yes, that was this fight. Sorry. Yes, yes. I
Yes, and he tripped him up basically. He stopped him from getting up. Like,
Yes,
that
so
was pretty bad.
yes, and thank you for reminding me. Okay, so yeah, so what happened here, and shout out to Toby as well for Toby in the Discord was making the same point. Yeah, this was Kevin McDonald, the referee, and so yeah, Cam Teague gets rocked, and he's kind of folded over, and the referee was on the far side of the two of them, and he comes all the way around to try to get to the other side, and in the transition, Teague is trying to back away, but the referee is at the right exact point to block him from backing away. So in effect, the referee kind of gave a little bit of an alley-oop to Leheon over here. I mean, he basically kept him in position. He kept Teague in position to continue the combination to knock him out completely.
I think what's really funny too is he had the perfect view at first, and then he decided to run around to the backside of Cam Teague, where you obviously, why would you? I don't know. This
Well,
dude's an idiot.
what I posited, and I'm benefit of the doubt because I do think that this is what happened, but I it still doesn't make it right. But what I think was that I think that he thought that the first shot had knocked him out completely. So he was rushing in thinking that this guy is already out, not realizing that it was still going on. So by the time he was, yeah, that was like what I said. You know, Kevin McDonald's a little bit of a more rotund gentleman. So I said, you know, once the bodily motion was already enacted, he was already going. He couldn't, you know, he can't stop on a dime. You know, it's like he would have to like hit one of those like side skids to like
It's
put
the semi truck.
exactly. Yeah, you know, you can't just full stop with that. So, you know, he had to like kind of correct course like in a split second there because he realized that the action was still continuing, and because of that just got caught in a spot that he shouldn't have been. So I will extend him that courtesy, but that does not make it right, and he probably did contribute to this fight going the way that it went.
Yeah, so this is another one where what can you take away from this? Dana gave the contract, but 13-5 against the most soft chinned person ever, and then you're a knockout artist on top of it. It's like, do I expect you to go in here and just flatline everybody? Probably not, because you've already lost 5 times with that game plan. Like, so I don't even know why he got the contract. I mean, that's kind of crazy. I mean, maybe he
Eh.
didn't. Am I kind of hoping he
Oh
didn't?
no, he got the contract most definitely.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, look, you get a knockout, you get a contract. I mean, I think it makes sense. But you're right. Does
You
he
get a
replicate?
submission, you don't get a contract.
But a knockout's more fun though.
I mean,
Come on, entertainment is what the Contender Series is all about. A knockout's always entertaining. That's what they want to see. So,
I hear you.
yeah, no, I mean, it is going to be interesting to see if he's able to replicate, as always. I mean, that's always the general note for all of this. But I think that it was the emphaticness of how he did it that really pushed it over, because he really did run and gun. I mean, he was in there really trying to, like, he was trying to take his head off from the start of this thing. It was another quick fight. I mean, 36 seconds into the thing. That being said, you're correct. I mean, Cam Teague, you know, this is the type of thing a lot of times they'll say, oh, you know, that guy needs to maybe go over to karate combat or PFL. Now, Cam Teague needs to stop fighting. I mean, like, this is you got smoked
There's
the
only
last time.
2 losses, buddy. Come on.
Both of them on the Contender Series. I mean, like, you don't.
So
You
he's
got
9-0 outside of any potential greatness. So
all right. I guess maybe I'm being hypercritical, perhaps, but it's just like he got smoked both fights on the Contender Series. Okay, so then I'll take it back, run it back, put him on karate combat.
there
There
you
you
go.
go. You know, go to somewhere else, get a little bit more experience there, and at that point, maybe you have a third shot. But this would be a third shot. So I mean, you know, 3 strikes is you're not Torres Finney. I mean, like Torres Finney had to win his fights to get three tries. You know,
By finish.
right? Yeah, exactly. So Anyway, so yeah, Cam Teague, that's that for him. But yeah, Le'Veon Douglas, I mean, like, is he going to be able to be something in there? Time will tell. Nice finish in this fight, if not a little bit odd because of the referee situation.
Hell yeah.
And the final fight of week 5 of the Contender Series was Anthony Guarascio versus Stephen Asplund. And Stephen Asplund, the winner of this fight, is quite the character, man.
I will, I actually would like to talk anything else but his character, because I know that's what everybody loves about him. Obviously, is he is just a personality. But when you first see this dude, you're like, oh god, oh god, and I'm being real. Like, oh god, this is what happens if you ruin your body. Like, you could gain massive weight and the skin doesn't go back the way that it started, and that's an unfortunate thing. But when you see this dude, he's very positive for the way that he looks, and he's in a profession where he doesn't have to wear, he actually can't wear a shirt. So shout out to him for having a little bit of confidence to go out here and do this. And go ahead.
I was just going to clarify for anyone who doesn't know. Stephen Asplund once weighed 500 pounds. Apparently, he,
Correct.
he was it was a morbidly obese man. Turned his life around with combat sports, and he has the excess skin is still there.
Well, and so why I bring it up, and I think this is a positive thing to take away, is because we see a lot of people, and when you look at them, I even said it when I first started. It's like, yo, you got to have an image when you're in the UFC at the top of the game. Like, you got to look like a superstar. You got to be the superstar. Martin Boudet's not in the UFC because he doesn't look like a superstar. He's got the big old belly.
All right.
But when you see Steven and the way that he carries himself and the confidence that he has, and with his aspirations to be active, and he wants to, and with the legacy that he had with his father, where his father was like a boxer or something like that, this dude really could change perception of the way people see themselves. Like, they could have an opportunity, like, wow, I can be just like that guy. Like, I could lose all this weight and it may be like that, but like, look at this dude, he's a fucking killer. So I don't know, I think a very positive thing could be taken away from a lot of people who maybe don't see an end to where they're at, or if they don't necessarily have aspirations to change. They can see a dude like this and be like, wow, he does have a healthy lifestyle after losing half of the body weight that he has now. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. No, I like that. I think he yeah, a role model to people who need that type of role model is a specific, very specific kind of specific thing. But
we don't have it.
hey, right, yeah, and it's true. It's a good point. So yeah, and you wanted to talk about everything but his personality. I'll talk about his personality a little bit. He's like, he reminds me a lot of people that I have known throughout my life. Just kind of got a little bit of a hood edge to him. Just a little bit.
Trailer park meets trailer trash is the way that he can describe this fight here, and I see it. Yeah, it's just like
Yeah,
people I grew up with. I agree.
yeah, it's got a little bit of that edge to him, whatever. But seems like a pretty affable guy. I mean, he definitely seems like he's got a good sense of humor. Has a great sense of humor about himself and his body situation. I mean, he's out there jiggling his nipples every chance he gets. That's always kind of don't need to see that, but if he wants to, he calls himself Fat Boy, all this kind of stuff. I mean, he's very self aware in a positive way, and the positivity that he embodies kind of carries through in the way that he carries himself and how he speaks, and he's got quick with a joke, and I mean, yeah, I think that he's got an infectious personality, so to speak. So I liked that aspect of it, and to come in and get a knockout in 16 seconds. Apparently, also very a little bit of a bad blood between him and Anthony over here, because he was staring him down in daggers during the ring announcement afterwards. He knocked him out and was like, "Yeah, oh yeah, you saw that, blah blah blah." So I guess Guarascio had been talking a little bit of smack before this thing, but either way, Aspinall, I think there's a lot of things to like about, or Asplund, excuse me, Asplund, easy mistake. Both
Yeah,
heavyweights.
Aspinall, watch yourself. He's next.
Yeah, I mean, it only takes a couple wins. But yeah, all things considered, comes in, gets a nice, quick, easy knockout, carries himself very nicely on the microphone. In fact, I generally on the watch alongs will turn it off like once the fights have concluded, because I don't need to see more on the mic. I've seen enough. I've that kind of stuff. Whatever. I'll wait until they're in the UFC. This was one time I waited around a little bit longer just to hear him on the mic again, and it all worked out. So yeah, I got nothing but good things to say about this guy.
The last thing that I'll say, obviously, great performance. First round knockout, love to see it. What he hit him with was actually pretty crazy because like he sold the straight and what he was just throwing it out there and then just cracked him with a hook. I mean, and it was just nasty. He didn't see it coming. Anyway, the funniest thing that I thought about this is so before the fight, we're having the promos and he's like, I'm not letting no man take no food off the table for my daughter and my family. And I thought to myself, this hits way less from a 500-pound man. Like, brother, that was you, mate. Like, come on, I get it. I get it. You're down now. But, like, let's not blame others. This is a little projection. But okay.
Perhaps. But yeah, no, I mean, much more. We have to see how he handles all of this success now. Hopefully he
He just
doesn't.
gets fat again. Like,
I,
he's like, fuck it. I got all this money in the world. Let's
I mean,
go.
he's fighting heavyweight. I don't know what he was weighing in this fight, but he could probably gain another 20, 30 pounds if he really wanted to and still make the weight. So, what 265 is topped out heavyweight, I think, in the UFC. So, be careful is all I'm saying there, Mr. Asplund. But for right here, right now, I was very satisfied with this win for him, and looking forward to see what and if he succeeds in the UFC, what his ceiling looks like.
Yeah, no, I think he's actually. I mean, I don't really care. I mean, I'm down for any prospect in heavyweight now, and if he can talk on the mic and he'll come out here and knock him out in 16 seconds, what more can I ask? I know I normally hate the brute style heavyweight, but like, fuck it. If you do it, I mean, get it done and get me out of there. I don't want to see you wrestle and be tired for three
Well, and,
rounds.
and this goes back to what we had talked about during the Marcin Tybura versus the Leah fight just recently, where I was like, we have a lack of that brawler style fighter in heavyweight now. Like, there used to be a pretty prototypical heavyweight fight where they would go balls to the wall for round one, gas out halfway through the round, and then if no one got knocked out, it would be just a sloppy remaining slugfest, just to see who had that little bit of extra cardio. And like, yes, I do understand that we want more technique, and there is an evolution that needs to happen at heavyweight overall. But I think that there is still definitely a place for a guy that just goes out there and throws haymakers and bombs people and knocks them out. I mean, Derek Lewis is like the last of it. A new generation rising up with that style is not a bad thing to me. I think it adds variety to the division, and a division that needs entertainment value and propping up as much as it can get right now.
I definitely agree with what you're saying.
So yeah, so I like it. So we'll see if he comes in and actually carries that over into the UFC.
Yeah, shout out Steven Asplin. That was a good one.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that Anthony guy at 3-1 after just taking a loss like that. Yeah, I don't know if we'll actually see him again. Like he may just not come back to the Contender Series.
Could be. It's hard to say now because it felt like before. Like I want to say, like maybe even as short ago as like 2 or 3 years, it felt like we didn't see a lot of repeat customers, so to speak. But now, I mean, we've had a couple of. Last year was the same way. We had a bunch of people that were returning. So
I agree, but I just don't. I don't know this dude. If he's as arrogant as Steven was making it seem, at 3-1, mate, you've already lost before you've hit 5 wins. You ain't making it too far. So
yeah, we'll see. I suppose. I mean, it is heavyweight. Rules are a little bit looser up there.
true.
So that is week 5 of season 9 of the Contender Series. Of course, week 6 is coming up tomorrow night. So be around for that. I know I will be here. I think Chase, you said you're not going to be able to do
I,
this one live.
I haven't decided yet, but tentatively we will be on the channel watching the
Fair
Contender
enough.
Series.
YouTube.com/@Yama Show for me. We will be watching along with it live.
There
So,
you go.
that being said, let's get into the main attraction here. This was, of course, Noche UFC or UFC Fight Night Lopes versus Silva. Before we get into this thing, well, actually, no. Yeah, well, why not? Let's shout out the chat real quick. I wanted to say,
Cool.
Jorge Castillo, thank you very much for checking in. Andy, always appreciate you. TJF, the man. Beeb, appreciate you as well. Sarah Toby checking in. Much love to you. John Dong as well. Appreciate all you guys being here with us for the podcast. The fight night here, Lopes versus Silva, this took place at the Frost Bank Center in San Antonio, Texas. What did you think of this event, sir?
Um, I well, this event was fine. I think we'll definitely talk about it, but this was definitely one of those events where it was like, well, they saved the best for the last, so thankfully there was that. But at the end of it, I think the lasting effect was good. But during the time I was watching, I was not having the greatest time. Not
Just
my,
just like for the whole thing. I mean,
I mean, not my favorite fights that I've seen.
all right,
This was difficult. We'll get through
yeah.
it. We'll get to it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I will say that this was a perfect 9-0 for Mexican fighters here on Noche UFC. So, a perfect sweep for Mexico on the Mexican Independence Day celebration, and also a perfect sweep for debuting fighters. We had two who made their debuts on this card, and both of
We
them
had
got their wins.
three, and one of them
Three.
lost in the second fight.
Who? What? Oh, sorry. Yes, you are correct. Debuting male fighters.
There you go.
But yes, we will get into all of the rest of it. But yes, debuting male fighters went perfect on the evening. Females, not so much. Starting this thing off was the finale of the Ultimate Fighter this year. This was supposed to take place earlier this year. There was an injury on one side. This got moved. So this was the welterweight finale of the Ultimate Fighter between Rodrigo Ceznando and Daniil Danchenko. What did you think of this fight?
This one, this fight went exactly how I thought it could. This is not the way that I thought it would, though, because you know, you love to be able to think like, oh, Daniil, I've seen him, cut people open with elbows before. He's a madman. You know, he's wild. It's great to think that he's going to do that every time. But if you take a step back and you think like maybe he won't, what is the alternate outcome? I genuinely thought Rodrigo grabbing a single leg and just holding him down for the rest of the round was going to be the option. Now, did I expect Daniil to just butcher him in round one with elbows? No, I know I didn't. I thought it was very possible, but I didn't think it was actually going to happen. I thought we were going to get them, but they weren't going to slice instantly. I mean, this dude clearly sharpens his elbows or something because they just destroyed Rodrigo and left him in a car crash situation. Like I can't believe how brutal this was. I'm not going to lie. For the first fight of the night, they kind of fucking cooked here. So
Yeah. I agree with you entirely. When we were talking this thing through on the last episode, the thought process was the exact same for me. I said that Daniil is a very fast starter. And you know how I am with that. I appreciate people coming out the gate looking like they want to win the fight from the first second that the fight has started. So I appreciate that aspect of it. But what I had suspected was that someone would, in this case, Rodrigo would slow him down, would be able to, get his hands on him, get him to the ground, at least get him up against the cage for a little while, basically get all of that early adrenaline and aggression out of the way, and then be able to kind of have the pace be a little bit more dictated on the other side. That was not the case here. I mean, Daniil was really effective from the beginning of this fight with that aggression, and that was what was really the most impressive part. I mean, Rodrigo did go for the level change early. He should have just stuck with that throughout this thing. I mean, he should have just been trying to spam takedowns because, when you see what Daniil was able to accomplish with those elbows you were talking about, it was it became very apparent early that you weren't going to have any success on the feet against him, not with the style that Rodrigo has on the feet, because he's more plotting. He's definitely slower. It's one of those
puts his
matches.
face right into fucking elbows. I
And
mean,
that too. I mean, that didn't help, but it's one of those times where like it almost felt like these guys were fighting at two different weights because like Daniil was so much faster than Rodrigo. Like,
yeah.
he's very quick to the draw.
No, I definitely agree with you about that. I'll say that about another fight later, but this one right here was just unfortunate to see. I thought we were gonna get a better matchup here, and I thought, the Ultimate Fighter finale, we gotta have something that makes you think like these guys want it. But I don't know, I just didn't see it here.
I mean, I think that Daniil showed that he wanted it.
Well, yeah, but like when I don't know, bro. I meant from Rodrigo's sake, but like I don't know. This one, it just sucked that Rodrigo got literally decimated in the first round. Like I didn't get to see that, war that he was going to go through to get to the third round. Like they was just an instant one and done round, and I don't know. Just
Yeah, and that cut that opened up apparently was bad enough for Kerry Hatley, the referee, to call the doctor in over, which I was like, that seemed like a bit of a questionable call, but it wasn't. It was a pretty decent cut.
I don't know why we get doctors called in for cuts that are between the eyes. I mean, those are fine. Like if it's like splitting the forehead like it was, like that's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, the only other real major note that I had, and this is kind of an extension of what we saw on The Ultimate Fighter, is that Daniil needs to make sure that he's keeping the rules in mind, because he's had certainly on The Ultimate Fighter in the last episode of the television
Those were
show,
fucking legal, bro.
though on the show.
Yeah, those weren't. I thought those were fine against Matt Dixon. He was fucking him up.
I mean, he was definitely fucking him up, but there was just some questionable stuff, I thought. I mean, I'd have to go back and rewatch, but I distinctly remember thinking that there was some definitely questionable things going on there. And then in here, he lands that knee to the body on the ground. That was a legal shot. I'm not disputing that. I watched it and rewatched it. I was like, made sure where it landed flush on the chest. No problem. My problem is that when you go to throw that, you just have to be triple sure that you're going to land where your target is intended, because if Rodrigo had moved in any little motion, he could have landed flush on his face, and then that would have been that could have been a disqualification shot, the way that he was going with the intensity that he was going with.
Right. Yeah. And Rodrigo even tried to, make a comment about it, but it was legal. So, fair play. I mean, Daniil really, he's a lot better than somebody at 24, I thought would have been. We'll talk about somebody who jumped into the organization real early as well, but 24, it's not as young as it seems anymore, I guess. We see a lot of people that are 25, 26, 22, and like they're having some pretty good runs, or they'll make you believe that they're onto something. But I don't know. They got to be something really, really special. And I think Daniil, I think he's definitely proving that he's something special. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And he was my dark horse winner for the whole thing. I had been rooting for him since his first fight on the Ultimate Fighter, so very happy for that. A little less happy that Dana was off promoting boxing, so second banana Sean Shelby is the one who presents the Ultimate Fighter trophy to Daniil. I thought it was very funny that Daniil was holding a water bottle, so he traded the water bottle with the ring girl for the trophy. I was like,
nice.
even exchange.
She was happy. I mean, she got his, backwash. But did you see his post-fight speech? I saw it on Twitter, like literally today or whatever. He was
Yeah.
like, I don't want no money. Give it to my friend. That was a cool moment, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this now several times where people use their Octagon interview to advocate for their friends and stuff. And like, I do understand it is a nice thing to do for your friend, but I kind of personally think that trend should end. Like, just get your win. You talk to them. You don't need to make a public display about it. Recommend to them. They'll get their shot. Like, I feel like people, because the one that really made my thinking change about it was the D'Elia one, where it was like, I'm pretty sure it was that one, but it was
Yes.
where his friend had to remind him, like, hey, make sure that you talk about me. Make sure that you try to get me. It's like, bro, like, dude, like, what are we doing here? Like, this is a specific thing that is like to you, and like now your buddy is coming in here and like tapping you on the shoulder saying, hey, give me my shot. Like, I understand it's a good thing to do. I think that maybe it should, so especially also this guy's it just won the Ultimate Fighter. Like, he's gonna not take the money, and
Yeah.
what I mean, like, dude, come on, man. You might want to he's got a kind of stuck up Eastern European girlfriend back home he needs to take care of.
There we go, dude. He needs the tough money.
Exactly. So whatever. Good win though for Daniil, and I'm looking forward to seeing his fights, because he does fight intensely. Just fight smart is all I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Next up, Montserrat Rendon versus Alice Pereira. Of course, Pereira, 19 years old, making her debut, as you had mentioned. Yes, she came up short in this thing, but what did you think of young Alice Pereira?
She's 19 years old. And even when the fight was starting, I was like, we saw Raul at like 18, 17, 18. And when you saw him, you instantly knew, like, holy shit, this ain't some average guy. Like, this is somebody that definitely needs to be in the sport. Because what else is he gonna do in this world? Look at him, he's fucking crazy. He's a little goblin, So Alice, though, she genuinely, and I'm trying to say this in the most respectful, constructive criticism way, she genuinely fights like the average 19-year-old woman would fight if they got thrown into the UFC. Like, I don't know what she did that was really good in this fight. This fight was horrible. This was, dude, it was so boring, and she was running the entire time. It was 3 rounds of me listening to, Rendon's gonna cut her off, man. She's got to cut her off every time. Alice is running though, man. She keeps going backwards. She's setting her up on the back foot. doing nothing, doing fuck all. Like, oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
The fact that this was a split decision is absurd. But what I said to that is that if Rendon had thrown more, this would have been a good example of how to handle an evasive fighter, because she was constantly pressuring, she was constantly trying to track her down, and she found success when she got into range. Rendon, that is. But it was just that, I mean, the amount of strafing from Pereira was, I mean, she had to have lapped that octagon like 3, 4, 5 times throughout the course of this thing. I mean, it was very much a cat and mouse kind of situation. I had in the notes that I was like, I legitimately thought that Pereira was trying to gas Rendon out via movement. Like I was, that she was trying to evade so much that she was going to gas her out just by her having to chase her down. But I mean, I gave Pereira the first round in the moment. I was like, I think that maybe the striking itself, because Rendon wasn't doing much herself. I thought that maybe she got the better of it, but I think that Rendon took it just via activity. She was the one actively hunting her down. She was tracking her the most of this fight, and she, like I said, had some good success when she was able to actually do that. But it was, it wasn't for enough.
Yeah, no, this fight, I can't tell you anything that there's to say. Alice just definitely should not have been in the organization at 19 years old. Um, she needs to go get more practice somewhere else. I mean, she's already locked into the UFC, so it's not like she's going to go back to the contender series or something. I mean, she's here, but like, are we going to see, like, nothing she did made me think like, oh, if she works harder at that, she'll be good. Like, oh, there's her shining spotlight moment, like that right there. Nothing makes me believe that there's any potential for her to get better. And maybe she's just a clean slate. Maybe she just needs the right person to just hone in on one thing, get the right game plan, and maybe she will be good. But at 19, I mean, she's got a lot of years on these people, and she doesn't have the skill that's advanced enough. Like, normally when you see somebody who's young in the sport, it's because they're super advanced for their age. This girl is not advanced, not in the slightest.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I did want to give Montserrat her praise though, because I thought that with what she was working with, she did decently. I would have liked to have seen more activity out of the hands. I think she should have been more active with making the attempts to throw. It's just that she was just out of range a lot because Pereira made her be out of range a lot. But when she did finally get her hands on her, she like there was one time was kind of funny. One of the first engagements was a little bit kind of hilarious because Pereira, with all of the strafing she was doing, she ended up tripping herself up on the cage, and then Rendon basically punched her way in. Like she kind of stumbled, and Rendon was like, "Oh, here's my chance." So I was like, "Okay, good awareness at least." And then she nearly finished the fight in the second round. I mean, she got her to the ground, got the rear naked in there. Pereira got saved by the horn. So Rendon, what I had thought about this fight was that Rendon was going to have the veteran experience. And I mean, aside from the fact that Pereira was so evasive, I think that did show. And had she been less evasive, I think it would have just shown more. So, it kind of goes with your point that Pereira just is not at that level currently. This was a good example of that, because this would have been the exact fight to have the young the old fed to the young, and that did not happen here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know who. I mean, genuinely, maybe an off night or something. But I'm not seeing what made somebody say this 19-year-old needs to be in the UFC. And like, we shouldn't just be seeing that, dude. Like, we shouldn't be seeing people at this age unless they are genuinely a specimen. This is 1 year out of American high school, and we have them in the highest level of mixed martial arts. That just shouldn't happen
Yeah.
unless they are legit the 16-year-old that I saw in one a couple weeks ago. Like, so
Yeah,
whatever.
no, I hear you, man. I definitely agree. But yeah, and as I had mentioned, the split decision, Rendon did win the fight but by split decision is just absolutely ridiculous. I was like, we are in for a judging fiasco if that's what we're starting off with. Thankfully, it didn't end up being that throughout the entirety of it, but that was certainly a little bit odd to me that there was a split decision when there was a 30-27 on one side of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, moving on to the next one here. Another debuting fighter in Alden Coria versus Alessandro Costa. Coria is a training partner of Josh Vans. I'm sure that you're happy about that.
I mean, it's cool. I mean, I didn't really care. I could care less because what I'm watching, I watched 3 rounds of this fight, and golly, another one where it just didn't do it for me. I mean, he got the finish in the third round of 47 seconds to the third round. That's cool, but like, you should have done that way long ago. This dude that you had in front of you sucked. God damn, this Alejandro Costa dude he landed 14 strikes in a 3 round bout basically, and this is just ridiculous to see.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
As a
That is.
flyweight, like what?
Yeah, yeah, that's knowing what we know about flyweight, that is insane. I thought that this one, yeah, this was not the greatest fight, but it was even for a good amount of it. So it was interesting in that regard because for Coria to come in and make it that competitive in his debut, I thought like even if it's not the greatest, it's like there could be potential for better going forward if this is the base level starting point. I
Right.
thought, but so yeah, first round was pretty even. Striking was pretty good on both sides. I thought. I mean, not amazing, but fast hands in both directions, which I appreciated. I thought that it was a little bit weird when in the start of the second round, Costa he like grabbed onto Coria and like he kind of pulled guard, but not really. Like he just sort of like it was almost like they clinched for a second, and then he just jumped his legs up and like almost held on to his like midsection, and then Coria kind of just was like, okay, well, I guess we're going down now.
Nice.
That was
Yeah.
just an odd thing. Is like there's being comfortable off of your back, and then there's that, and that's just kind of ridiculous,
Jiu-jitsu nerds are definitely on the downfall. We have not seen a very elite level grappler in a really long time, man. I don't know what's going on here, but these dudes who pull guard like that is pretty fucking crazy. I mean, shout out to Courier for being able to get out of the 2 sub attempts that were on him, but I mean, that finish should have came a lot sooner. Because it would have been one thing if it was like I watched the first round and it's like, okay, he just showed him what he's got. Second round, he turned it up a little more, and then boom, laid it on him the third round. It's like the third round starts and it's like, why didn't you do that from the first encounter? Like, I don't know. So
Well, I mean, Costa was kind of making it a little bit more competitive than I think you're making it out to be with that. Because I mean, like there was really it was the second round where things started to like get that way. I mean, the first round was competitive on the feet, but it was like kind of point fighting on the feet. But like when it started to get into the grappling and stuff, I mean, like there was that one exchange or that one interaction where it was Costa ends up like rolling through after it was basically after what I just mentioned there, where they both kind of went down. He rolls through, and then he kind of like ends up getting that like sloppy suplex kind of deal, and then stays with it to keep the back on the ground. I was like, that's pretty good work. But then Coria ends up reversing it on the ground, and I was like, that's impressive groundwork for a debuting fighter. So there are elements of this fight that I mean, it's like it's somewhat understandable that it wasn't like just go out there and like run through this guy, but all of that being said, it still was not like, fireworks show for a debut fight, I guess.
yeah, I mean, when you say he trains with Josh Van, you're supposed to be on the edge of your fucking seat, and the fact that he didn't train like Josh Van, whatever. So I
True.
don't
Well,
know.
and also the other thing to keep in mind with the way that this ended was that for Coria, I mean, he was doing pretty decent work, but between round 2 and 3, Costa, I guess somewhere in some exchange had hurt his toe pretty bad because he was not only like limping on it, but he was bleeding out of his foot. So
He
that was a
hurt
bad
both of
deal.
his toes, which was really funny because he was showing the ref his first toe where it was bloody and he was limping, and then when he got finished, he starts holding his other toe. I'm like, what the fuck? How do you hurt both your goddamn feet? Like, come on, dude, just get
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't necessarily control your body in that regard,
No,
but
I get it.
yeah, but either way, I mean, he was compromised going into that third round. His corner actually threw the towel in. I don't know if you saw that.
That pissed me off.
Why?
Mid getting finished,
Well, I mean,
like,
that's what they're trying to signal that they don't want him to continue getting finished.
oh yeah, let me, yeah, dude. I don't know, like that's just really
You would have wanted
ridiculous.
you wanted it
You
earlier.
you throw the towel in. It's like before you know he's about to lose. Okay, towel in there. It's not like whoa. He's getting his ass whooped. Come on now, let's stop it here. It's like, dude, what? That's part of
Well,
the fight. You're taking away the excitement. What are you talking? What are you trying to do?
what I would suspect is that he probably told his corner that he was, his toes were broken, and they were like, all right, look, if you're starting to get your ass kicked, we'll throw the towel in. That's what I would think probably happened. They probably had a little bit of an agreement between rounds.
I just think if that was a normal thing, Like if you saw Charles Oliveira get hit once by Ilya and the towel was on the way over and then it landed on him while he was lifeless, like you'd be like, what in the world is happening? I don't know. That's just mine. That's just my opinion.
Well, I think they were trying to save their guy a little bit of extra, but it didn't matter anyway because Dan Murgliata did not see the towel getting thrown, so it was kind of a
Well,
moot
because
point.
he was already finished by the time the towel gets thrown in there. That's
True.
another thing. It's like again, like what did you even do it for? The spectacle to make him look like bigger? Like your whole team looks terrible now. I don't know, in my opinion.
Yeah, they probably could have just let it go. But either way, that is how this ended. So, I mean, whether or not you want to, I guess the bigger point to take away from all of it is like, how much do you want to put on Costa being compromised going into that third round versus Coria getting a finish? You know what I'm saying? Like, my point is that like, I don't know if I necessarily see this fight with those circumstances and say, oh, Coria's next up,
Hmm.
you know?
I also definitely agree that he's probably not next up, but Alejandro Costa. I've seen people, Manel Cap is somebody who, broke his toe mid fight or whatever and was able to still compete. He lost, but John Jones also broke a toe and won a fight. People do stuff. I'm not gonna say you need to be like them or anything, but I'm not gonna say the toe is what made you lose. I'm not gonna make excuses. Injuries happen in the fights. People chip bones all the time, fracture arms and legs and toes, and whatever you want to say. Just you should have been better. You should have landed more than 14 strikes by the time the third round came. I don't know.
So
So
you think that we should be putting due stock into Coria? That
no, 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 not yet. He's gonna
okay.
have to. He's gonna have to continue doing it. But like as of right now, I mean, he did what he should have been able to do. Is what I'll say.
True. All right. Well, there you go. Good win for his debut, and interesting that he also fights at flyweight, considering that Josh Van is about to fight for the title. So, hopefully we'll see what things shake out. I mean, I don't know if they're going to end up having to cross paths at some point, but that'll be interesting if that comes to that.
We will definitely find out. But I can tell you, Josh Van is fighting for that title next.
I know you know it. All right, next fight up was an interesting case here. This is Zachary Reese versus Cedricus Dumas. Of course, Dumas came into this fight letting the entire world know that he only had $13 in his bank account. A lot of opinions as to why that might be from many different pundits in the MMA community, but that was the case. And that being said, ended up with more than he bargained for in the case of a low blow that I guess made it so that he could not continue. What did you think here, sir?
Well, out of the 51 seconds that we saw, I knew coming into this fight, this is not the fight you want to bet on. And thankfully, it ended in a way that everybody got voided, probably. So there's reasons why I did not want to bet on this, and there's reason was exhibited in the fight. These dudes are idiots. Zachary's kicks him straight in the dick. Cedricus Dumas looks for the way out, and whether or not his ball was twisted up, or if he couldn't feel it, or whatever was happening with his testicles, mate, people get kicked in the dick all the time. We see it. Women get kicked. Women even get kicked low. You know,
Yeah,
I've
we'll talk about
seen.
one of those later in the card.
Yeah, see, we've seen people figure their shit out in the allotted 5 minutes that they have. Cedricus Dumas, if he got his show money for this fight, I'm 100% convinced that whatever thing was going to go wrong in this fight, he was going to look for the way out because that is a free paycheck for him.
That you took the words right out of my mouth. It's we were the exact conversation we had on the watch along was just about that. It was that Cedricus Dumas came into this thing broke, and show money was enough. He gets kicked in the balls, and see you later. Thanks for the check.
Yep.
So, I mean, like you said, I don't know for sure. I will say that the low blow from Reese was dead on, and there was a very loud connection to the cup. I mean, it was audibly noticeable, it rang out throughout the broadcast, so you could definitely hear that. It was opposite stances, and Reese was going for the body kick, and it was low. So it is what it is. I mean, Reese needs to get the kicks up, perhaps, but it was in motion as well. So it's kind of hard to say that he was really at fault. Of course he was at fault, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't think it was an intentional thing or anything like that. And I think it was somewhat unavoidable just by the nature of where their bodies were. But either way, yes, Dumas on the ground, writhing in pain. I can't feel my nuts, all this kind of stuff. Doctors in there coaching him on and everything. And as
feeling them and doing all his
that,
extra work over there.
you got to make sure, you got to make sure that they're still there. So, Doc did his job. But yeah, as like, it was funny though, because on the watch along, like as it was starting, I was like, he's not getting back up. I almost whether I said it out loud or not, or just had it in my mind. I remember when I saw him on the ground, the way that he went down, I was like, yep, he's done. He went to the Hidalgo Bellato acting school, and he's not going to continue. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So, I found this out after the fact, and you confirmed it. Dumas had to get stretchered out.
I did I confirm that? I
I
don't
thought it was
remember.
you,
It
maybe it was somebody else, but
just sounded funny. It sounds funny. Sounds
it
about
could have
right.
been. I don't. Maybe that's still unconfirmed. It might have just been a meme, but I'd read somewhere that Dumas had to get stretchered out. So I mean, really committing to the bit, if so. But
I mean, I was gonna say he committed. I mean, Bellato took his loss and walked out the arena. He knew the jig was up. Like he obviously got caught. Cedricus, he's gonna ride that all the way to the hospital, man. He's gonna even see Dana, and they're like, dude, look, I'm fucked. Like, so
yeah, well, I mean, as much as Dumas is a degenerate moron, I do kind of feel for his run of bad luck, because this is now multiple fights that he's had weird things happen. Now, granted, this one's a little bit of a unique circumstance because this is on his side, kind of milking it, I would say. But he was also the one with Ruzaboyev, where he had that weird situation with the eye poke. He was the one protesting the Mikhailo Lashechek loss, thinking that was an early stop. So there has been some weirdness with Cedricus Dumas in some of his fights, that I can at least empathize with a little bit. The rest with Cedricus Dumas, there's very, very little empathy.
yeah, this dude. I mean, he made more money in one weekend than I would. So let me not clown too much on this dude's lifestyle. He's clearly a genius. So
Must be Galaxy brain move to go in and take the easy route out. I mean, I'm gonna need to hear some like follow up shit about him having like X-rays being needed, and some kind of testicular torsion or whatever. So there's going to need to be some kind of confirmation for me to believe any of what was going on in there, because it really did sadly look like he was taking the money and running.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, whatever. I mean, when you see it, I mean, it looks like any other time when somebody gets kicked in the dick. He lays there and then he decides he's not going back in there. Like any other time we see people take a minute and a half, and the crowd gets to him like, come on, let's go, get up, get onto it. But no, this dude's he's a real true Chad pro. I mean, he knows how to just not let peer pressure get to him, unless it's breaking and entering with his homies or something. I don't know, but whatever. So
Yeah, exactly. And I had also said that he wasn't going to really throw hands with Zachary Reese, because Zachary Reese is not a woman.
yeah, true.
Anyway, all right, moving on. Let's get away from Dumas and all of his shenanigans. Moving on to the next one here. This is Jesus Aguilar versus Luis Garule. Garule was a dude who was coming off of the Contender Series, not this last fight, but the fight before that. He lost his last fight, so he is now dropping 2 fights in the UFC. What did you think of him versus Mr. Aguilar here?
This one also wasn't the greatest performance from either of them. Wasn't really on the edge of my seat for it, but I thought Jesus Aguilar, hey, I thought this was a really good dog coming into the fight, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do. I mean, he truly does fight until the end. He doesn't necessarily. He's not a pushover, especially at lightweight. I mean, he generally does hold his own against a lot of the people that think they're going to strike with him and put him on his ass. His grappling is fine enough, and he'll throw a submission attempt in there every now and then. He'll jump Gilly. I mean, what else can you expect from the guy? I mean, he's just a guy, like literally.
Yeah.
Jesus is fine. So
Yeah, and for a guy in Aguilar who is, I mean, at least in his last fight, had to do a whole lot of grappling. I thought that he was really solid on the feet, because this was like 2 dudes, a Grule wrestler, also, 2 wrestlers. I had said that on the watch along. I was like, this could stay on the feet, because both of them are not going to want to go to the strong suit of the other. So, that sometimes happens. If 2 guys have the same style, they'll negate each other and kind of do the other thing that they're both not as good at. And that's kind of happened here. I mean, this was two guys keeping it on the feet for a lot of this fight, and Aguilar very aggressive out the gate. I mean, like he throws pretty good strikes. He's a little slightly reckless, I would say, at times with his striking, but he made it work, and his clinch striking was pretty good. Good knees in the clinch. I thought, thought he definitely took the two of those rounds. Of the issue with him was that he came out so strong that he had to pull back in the second round. Like he kind of conserved in the second round. That was where I noticed, and you kind of put me onto this when we were talking about Peyton Talbot, talking about that killer instinct, and like I kind of, I guess maybe a little naively, always give the benefit of the doubt when it comes to these fighters that like every fighter is going to have the killer instinct in them. If they're in the UFC, they got to have it. Louis Garule doesn't seem to have it. He does not seem to have that tap in, flip the switch, it's go time thing, because that second round was his chance to turn it on when he had Aguilar, kind of pulling back a little bit so he could come out strong in the third round, and he just didn't. He looks harmless, sadly.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment. I mean, some people, they just ride the same wave. They have a consistent game that's going to get them all the way to the bell, and if they do it everything right, then they're going to win unanimous decision. But in this one, I mean, Jesus is a little too wild for you to play a game like that. I mean, and he was just able to be the unpredictable, unexpected striker in the strike fest. I mean, the grappling, neither really one of them got anything off, and Jesus Aguilar really just skated to decision. There wasn't anything that made you think Louis Garule won that round. Louis Garule did something there. It's like Jesus Aguilar just kind of just put a pressure on him, and there wasn't anything else going on.
Yeah, and had enough in the third round to pull off a little Karate Kid crane action. Did you see that? You notice had the hands up for a little minute there. I was like, all right, hey, he's kind of showboating in an interesting way, I guess. But yeah, he did his thing. Got the kicks off. Garule ended up getting wobbled and dropped. Aguilar pounces with the guillotine, and Garule reverses that at the very end. So I mean, he at least made it to the final horn. But Aguilar taking two of those rounds solid, unanimous decision. I'd said that Garule is in jeopardy of getting cut, I think.
Yeah, this is one of those unfortunate Contender Series cases where it's like maybe, and to be honest, I don't know if we have on the podcast we have talked about him specifically, but was he one of those guys that we kind of really didn't have too much stock into when he came on a Contender Series, or did we really think this dude was the next up?
No, I think that I think I was rooting for him because I saw more out of him on the Contender Series because it was the Contender Series. I think that that's kind of what it was. I think that because it goes back to that same conversation we have every Contender Series when you talk about the fights, is that, it's like you see one version of them on the Contender Series because of the level of competition that they're fighting. You don't know how that translates to the UFC proper. So he was one I was like, yeah, I maybe could see, I kind of wanted to root for him a little bit more, but like as you start to see him over time, and his last fight was really no different. He was one that I think got handled pretty handily in his last fight as well. It's starting to become more apparent that the skill level just is, that divide is there, and he's not able to bridge the gap.
100%.
So that is going to be what it's going to be. I don't know if it's now or when, but Garule might get one more shot, and that's going to be pushing it. He better win his next one, if not.
True.
All right, moving on to my favorite. Come on, you had to love this. This was Tatiana Suarez versus Amanda Lemos, and Tatiana Suarez doing Tatiana Suarez things.
Yeah, I'm glad that she got the win, and if this is her style, kudos to her. I mean, she's gonna maybe win a couple more. It didn't work against Whaley, so I mean, there's that. But this fight fucking sucked, bro. Holy shit! Like this is before I've seen the rest. This is the worst one. This is the worst on the card. Sadly, it's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, look, as I said, Tatiana Suarez doing Tatiana Suarez things. You know that she's going to grapple. You know that she's wrestle primarily. More wrestlers. It's gonna be a lot of cage clinching, and it's gonna be a lot of wrestling positions to try to advance to the next and possibly get a submission like that. The grappling on the ground she'll do it, but it's not as strong as the wrestling base that she has. She's a longtime wrestler. She's sticking to her game plan, and that's about it. It's unfortunate to me that she does not evolve with like, especially after the Whaley loss that you mentioned.
Hmm.
Like, you had like that should have been a learning experience going all the way up to that level of competition and realizing that just wrestling is not going to do it. And she just goes and falls right back onto her base. And sometimes we'll say, like, Umar Sy is a great example of someone where we're like, you need to fall back on your base. That's one version of it. But there are other fighters like Suarez where it's like you need to evolve past the only thing that you are good at, because what we saw in this fight was not only her relying on that, but at the very end, and this is what's unfortunate for Amanda Lemos, at the very end, Lemos finally started to get some striking off and almost got Suarez out of there. If there had been another 30 seconds on the clock, that this could have been a completely different decision.
Yeah, I remember thinking that as well. I mean, it was definitely interesting to see Lemos do something at the end of the fight, but she always seems to just do nothing. And then sometimes she does something at the end, sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes she'll do it right at the beginning of the fight. And then other times she'll spend the entirety of the fight on her back, which is crazy. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, one thing that she definitely did was get a knee directly to the cooch. That
nice.
happened. Yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunate there for her, but that's another thing that'll happen when you're doing not much else but clinching on the cage. I mean, like, that's really the story of this fight, was cage clinching and a little bit of groundwork. She did get the takedown a couple of times. I mean, they're crediting her with 3 out of the 12 attempts. So I mean, like, gives you an impression of what we're talking about here, with 9.5 minutes of control time. So it really, the numbers tell this fight in pretty decent detail. I thought that Lemos had some decent leg kicks in the start of the second round, and then when she finally, there was that one time at the end of the second round as well when Lemos had the anaconda, when she was kind of standing backpack sort of situation, like front backpack or whatever, you know what I'm saying? She was on her from the front with a choke locked in right at the end of the round. Suarez able to stick it out through that until the horn sounded, so nothing doing there. And then finally, at the very, very end of the fight in round 3, Lemos started striking, and it looked like she had Tatiana hurt. She was evading a whole hell of a lot, but it was too little too late. So 2-1 for Suarez, and we put this in the past.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could talk about the choke. I mean, I guess I will. I think that was unfortunate because Amanda Lemos, she had it as locked in as she thought she was gonna have it, and then at the end, Suarez just shook it off and walked to her corner. I know, like you could see in her face, like that was like, fuck, that was supposed to be it right there. Because now I got to do what I just did for 2 rounds, another round, and then I'm probably gonna lose. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, unfortunate. And again, unfortunate that she didn't find the striking earlier, wasn't able to get her hands moving earlier, cuz I mean, obviously she's got decent power in the hands. She was able to hurt her. Like, there was so much potential for this to be different if she had just been quicker to the draw. And putting that, like, why I always talk about being a fast starter in this sport. Like, I mean, if she had overwhelmed her with striking early, now granted, you got to be careful of the takedowns with someone like Suarez. Obviously, that's always going to be in the equation, but that. I mean, there's no fighter that's telegraphing their game plan like Suarez. So account for that, get the shots where you can, and at least start wearing her down, so that by the third round you have an opportunity to have more time to get your game plan off. But she just didn't.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, Suarez. I don't know if I'm excited to see another one, but we'll roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, my thinking on Suarez is starting to evolve slightly, only because of what I said at the start of this portion here, where I'm like, if she's not going to evolve and start mixing in some striking that's more effective, and we continuously just get only this, then that's what, like, not only are you kind of kneecapping yourself, because we know that the highest of the high in the division is going to be able to handle it, but we're as fans going to be sitting here like, okay, another Suarez fight, another whole lot of hugging on the cage.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I'm with you on that, but it is what it is. Suarez gets the win.
Hell yeah.
All right. Another one of the somewhat lackluster fights of the evening. This was not the worst one, but it also falls in the same camp. But this is Claudio Puelles versus Joaquim Silva.
This one was interesting because Claudio Puelles, I remember him because the last time he fought Dan Hooker, and Dan Hooker butchered him and put him on the ground, and he couldn't stop butt scooting across the cage because he couldn't get up, and then eventually body shots got to him. This fight here was interesting because Claudio won round 1 and 2, in my opinion. I thought it was very easy for him. He did exactly what he was doing to control the fight. I mean, I can't say it was entertaining. I can't say he was the best at it, but Joaquim Silva sucked in that first 2 rounds, in my opinion. And then and third round, he actually started to come back. The body shots were adding up again. You had Claudio butt scooting, falling to his back, and it actually looked like we were going to get a finish in the exact same way that Dan Hooker did, but we didn't. And then that led me to say, okay, Claudio 2, Joaquim 1. And then we get a split decision for Joaquim, and I'm just confused. So
Well, I can somewhat try to explain this a little bit, but what I will start off by saying is that Joaquim Silva had some of the lowest fight IQ moments in this fight, like two specifically, and I'll go over this to kind of highlight them. But first round was pretty dominant for Puelles. He had everything that he needed to do going. He was, transitioning nicely on the ground and evaded a very quick leg lock attempt by Silva. So he was handling business. He got a really nice single leg high crotch takedown early in the round and kind of rode that out through the entirety of it. So dominant first round for Puelles. Start of the second round, Puelles gets another takedown. Silva gets back to his feet and starts turning up his own striking. So I think that he started kind of getting the message that I needed to get my own offense going here, because it was not going his way for that first round and then starting off into the second. So he starts to kind of start coming around. Silva's output after getting off of the ground was way lower than it should have been still, even with that, even with the note that I just said, like he still was not doing enough. And then the reason that I think he takes the second round was one of the low fight IQ moments of the fight. At the end, he teeps Puelles to the body and has him hurt. Like he's holding his stomach there a little bit and significant strike. So instead of going and turning up the intensity at that point, Puelles actually ends up going down. Instead of following him to the ground, which, fine that you don't want to follow him to the ground, he told him to stand back up. And usually for me, I'm always like, yeah, stand him up. I appreciate that. But he wasn't hurt enough to have that be the right thing to do at that moment. He stands him up and then instantly gets taken down.
nice.
And it was just like, bro, that was like, there are several different options that you had that could have made that not the case. So low fight IQ move right there. I mean, he could have struck him on the ground. He could have immediately gone to striking when he got back to his feet, whatever. It just was not great there. But so that's how that went. Puelles jumps guillotine at the horn at the end of that round 2. Looked tight, didn't get it, whatever. So 1-1 going into the third, I would say. Jabs stagger Silva in the third. Puelles doing some pretty good work with that. Puelles is too committed to the wrestling, should have kept striking pressure on. Silva lands a big shot at the end of the fight, drops Puelles, and instead of continuously putting the strikes on, he just lets up. Another low fight IQ moment at the exact time when it could have been the bigger decision maker. So yes, he gets the win, and those are the reasons why I think he gets the win. He got the drop at the end there, whatever. But it's like there were 2 times that you had him hurt, and you didn't capitalize on either of them in a significant way. A split decision is the right call, not because it's the right call, but so that it's a wake-up call to you that you need to have better fight IQ.
No, I don't know. I think this one was definitely won by Claudio and Joaquim. If you couldn't finish this dude in the positions that you did, I mean, or that you had, I mean, you're not built for it, dude. I mean, I even random Brazilian Silva. I mean, but he's not John or Anderson. I'm just saying. So whatever.
You didn't think that the body teep was enough to swing that second round?
No, nope.
All right, well, there you have it. So anyway, I mean, split decision win for Silva is what the final call was. Same kind of note really goes for any of these types of fights. If Claudio Puelles wanted to win it more, he should have done more. I mean, that's really the other side of it too,
No, yeah. I mean, I agree with you there. I mean, there was no point where I thought Claudio was going to get a finish or a late finish or do anything like that, which is an unfortunate issue in your game. I mean, you need to be one of those people who you could finish anywhere at any time.
Sure.
But, here we are knowing you're a decision merchant and that you're going to keep losing. So
Yeah. Sad to say. Representing Peru, you'd like to see a little bit better representation for the country, underrepresented in the sport. So,
yeah.
is what it
Speaking of
is.
underrepresented in the sport, going on to this next fight.
Indeed. Yes. Moving on to the next one. Dusko Todorovic versus Jose Daniel Medina. Medina, of course, the only fighter fighting out of Bolivia, and possibly soon to be no fighters fighting out of Bolivia with the way that this one went down. Because as I've always said, Medina is the biggest punching bag slash sack of potatoes in this UFC that we watch so often. And this was one time where he wasn't a huge punching bag. He didn't take a whole lot of damage when it came to strikes, but easily taken out regardless.
This one, I mean, what more can you say? I mean, you knew Jose Medina was somebody who liked to strike, wasn't great at it, but loved to get punched. But did we expect Todorovic to take him down instantly and choke him out? That I don't know if that was on anybody's bingo card, to be honest. Oh, excuse me.
Certainly
Yeah.
not mine. One thing that I thought was interesting on commentary for this two things. I'll tell you the other one later. But one thing I thought was interesting was that DC had mentioned that he thought that Dusko Todorovic's like chin improved, and I was like, I'm curious how he. I mean, if there's a certain level of conditioning you can do to your chin or whatever, but that's one thing that was why this was a little bit of a toss up for some people was that Todorovic has been knocked out several times, so it's like it could be a good opportunity for Medina with that. We didn't get to see a whole lot of striking out of Medina, so fair enough. That wasn't the case and it wasn't going to be the case, but I'm still curious about that if that's true, because if so, then Todorovic might actually be somewhat something to keep an eye on if you're not having to worry about him getting knocked out. That all being said, it really was pretty well dominant on Dushko's side. I mean, he cuts Medina with the straight right. Good defense when Medina did throw. So I mean, he's doing what he needs to do there. A lot of clinch pressure for Dushko, and then ends up getting the single leg sweep, takes the back rear naked choke. I mean, it's pretty bing bang boom.
Yeah, it was unfortunately so quick and effortlessly done that yeah, Jose Medina, you can see right when he lost. I mean, he knew like yeah, I fucked up. Like I'm literally fucked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was banging the mat on that one.
Yep.
So quick dealy here. I mean, it later into round one, but still round one nonetheless. And a lot of it was clinching from Todorovic's side, and then find the sequence that ended it. So not a whole lot to say in this one. I mean, good job for Dushko getting a submission because he's not known for them.
Yeah, true. I mean, he needed a win and the fact that he got one against somebody that I really like, I mean, it is what it is, you know. Shout out to him.
I don't know what you see in this guy. I just the fact that he's got a tough chin.
And not even that. He's fun. I don't know. He's
Okay,
just a cool dude. He
he
just
is.
emotes when he fights. I don't
That
know.
is true. He's also a veterinarian, so shout out to him for saving all the little animals out there. That's legit. That's true.
Okay, I wouldn't have thought him to be a smart guy, but you
Yeah,
know,
no, we talked about that on the last one. Because I believe that my quote from last time was that he needs to go back to saving the woodland creatures, but
okay,
it kind of still stands. The only other thing that I wanted to mention, and this is a very minor note, but I still thought it was very funny. Dom Cruz throwing shade on Chapolin from the Contender Series in this fight on commentary, because
nice,
Tom Cruise had said something about, or DC, I guess, was talking about being upset about something, and Dom Cruise had said, "Oh, you're upset because you were just coaching on because they were talking about Medina having lost on the Contender Series and still getting a contract." And then DC was like, "That happens to people." And Dom Cruise
hmm
was like, "Oh, you just don't believe that because you were coaching on the Contender Series and your guy didn't win." He was talking about
nice.
Chapolin. So yeah, anytime to shade the Contender Series / tough contestant Chapolin, I guess Dom will take it.
Yeah, hell yeah,
Just a little funny note. Dom always figures out a way to slide some asshole comments in there, and I can appreciate that.
felt that.
All right, next up was Quang Lee versus Santiago Luna. Luna, another newcomer over here, and made a nice statement with this one. No weirdness going into this finish.
No weirdness going into the finish, but the ref almost tried to let Kwang Lee die. You know, that's just how that was. But it was over before we had to see him actually go lifeless. That's the unfortunate part about this sport sometimes. But I mean, this one was hard because I really thought Kwang Lee was a really good dog. When it came to the striking, I actually didn't see too much from Luna that made me think that this was going to happen, and then it just did. I mean, he just put it on him real quick, staggered him, he got back up, and just dropped him on his back and just ground and pounded his face into the mat. You know.
Yeah, I mean, Lee was actually off to a pretty good start in this fight. He ended up dropping Luna very quickly. I mean, it was a flash knockdown kind of situation, but dropped him and then stumbled him with a head kick right after that. So I was like, oh, Lee is doing his thing right over here. Luna fucking not only wisely ties him up to get his wits about him, but then rises to the occasion. I mean, they're back out at center. Luna backs Lee up, and as Lee is landing his own shots, counter shots from Luna are what dropped him, or a single counter shot from Luna is what dropped him. Lee ended up bouncing back to his feet, and Luna just keeps on with some really clean, accurate striking to put Lee back down. I was like, man, for a guy who is known primarily for submissions, this was some really solid striking out of this kid. 21 years old.
Yeah, true. Yeah, this is what I mean. I mean, if we see somebody at these crisp ages, I gotta see it instantly why they're here. And this is another one. I mean, he flatlined a dude that's a really good striker. So, I mean, kudos to Luna. I would love to see some more from him.
And you thought that this was a late stoppage? Was that the case in this one? Are you sure it was this one that you were thinking
There's a
of?
couple of them.
Yeah, because this one I thought that it looked almost a little early, but then Lee did not get up for a while, so I was like, okay, it must have been good. Yeah, I mean, he went because the way that he went down, he went down and then he got an elbow that sort of bounced his head a little bit, and I was like, he sees the head bounce, that's where you stop it. But it wasn't like he wasn't. It didn't, to me at least, did not look like Lee was like actually out. It was just like he took the impact of the shot. But either way, like I said, he didn't get up very quickly after he was down. So fine stoppage to me on that one.
It was all right. It wasn't the worst of the night, but at the time I'm like, oh come on. But
Yeah. Either way, yeah, great debut for Santiago Luna. Also, a nice gentleman on the microphone. I thought he carried himself very well.
speaks fluid English. Just
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, not just that part of it, but I'm just
well,
saying,
no, I'm
like,
just saying. I mean, listen, this dude spoke a lot clearer English than me. That's the whole point that I'm making here. I mean, geez, that when you get on the mic and you see them representing a lot of regions and they just speak fluent English, it's like it's an interesting character trait. Like, man, they just really just okay. They just know how to talk on the mic. Cool.
yeah. Well, I think he's like a Southern Cali guy. I think he might be training out of San Diego or something along those lines. Sounds correct to me in my vague recollection of it. But yeah, I thought he carried himself very well. It was very well spoken, and they played a clip of the Spanish broadcast of his knockout. When they like showing off the Spanish commentary, and I was like, the Spanish broadcast is fucking lit, dude. I want to listen to the Spanish broadcast sometime. Those guys are having a lot of fun on there.
It was actually Santiago Ponzinibbio and Grasso,
And
I
Alexa
believe.
Grasso, yes,
Yeah,
indeed it
those
was.
were.
Yeah.
There was one more on there, but I don't think it was anybody that we know.
Yeah, no, yeah. I don't recall his name, but yes, there was a third commentator, and I his name is blanking on my mind right
Yeah.
now. But
Some
yeah,
say
no.
it would be Excalibur, but we could be wrong.
Some people like you, perhaps, who enjoy watching the WWE, maybe. But yeah, no, that was a really nice performance for Luna, and we'll see what else he can do.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, your favorite fighter is up next here. Alexander Hernandez fighting Diego Ferreira. This was this on the commentary or on the watch along. I said that Alexander Hernandez is just a guy who figures out how to win fights by any way that he can and almost by any way that he wants. And I'm not saying that like he's going to go in there and do something crazy and flashy. I mean, he's going to dictate the pace of the fight and morph it to what he wants it to be, and then find a finish there somehow. It's kind of wild that this guy keeps racking up wins the way that he fights.
I mean, I didn't understand it at first, and I would take people to go against him because he's always in these close matchups, and somebody's going to have to edge it out. But I now understand it. I mean, I do get Alexander Hernandez, and this one I didn't know he was going to knock him out, but I knew that Diego was just some random Brazilian. Here we go again. It's like, bro, people. I don't know, man. Alexander Hernandez is somebody that, like you said, will just get the job done. Like he knows how to win a fight, and if he has to knock you out, it looks like he's going to do it 2 times in a row. So whatever.
And he's coming off of such a checkerboard of a record that it's hard to wrap your head around the success that you're seeing now, perhaps. But I mean, really, I think that it's possibly a culmination of him putting the pieces together and finding a strategy that works. Like that's what I would say. The two main notes that I have about Hernandez is one, he is very fast. The guy is extremely light on his feet. He's constantly in motion. So that's point A. Point B is that he has put together a game plan and strategy that just works for him. And if he can continue to replicate that, he has success. I don't know if he's going to be able to continuously do that as he can, has different opponents against him, guys that are going to go hunt him down and be able to slow him down. But we saw with Daniil earlier, sometimes if you're fast and early, then it works. Now, not that he was as high output, but sometimes David Martinez, we'll talk about in a little while, is very similar in this regard. Like when you're fast and you get the shots where you find them, sometimes you have good success, and that really is all that Hernandez did in this fight. Fajeda had a little bit of early pressure, but wasn't able to keep up with him, and he was chasing him, but Hernandez was one step ahead of him. Very light on his feet, very good with his movement, and it was stick and move for the entire fight.
Yeah, 100%. It was very easy for Alexander Hernandez, and the fact that he knocked him, this was another one that was this was a late stoppage right here. I mean, he's dribbling the dude's head off the canvas here, and the ref just won't fucking step in.
Yeah, this was the bad one. Yeah,
One of them. I mean, we have another one, but just I can't believe that I'm a fan of Alexander Hernandez. I am on the train now. I get him. I seriously do. Me and Toby are best friends because of this guy now. So
fair enough. And I mean, that's what I would say to that is exactly what a fighter in the position that Hernandez has to do, is make fans out of non-believers. You know what I'm saying? I
yes.
mean, like go back into the earlier episodes of us talking about him on this show. Like they not much great to say about him for all of the reasons that I outlined here. I mean that, the checkerboard record was screaming for a long time. And of course, the whole thing with Cowboy, that's way in the past now. But either way, I mean, the narrative we talk about a lot too. The narrative was not great for Hernandez. He is turning the ship around. So that's very impressive that he's able to do that. The shot that ended up dropping Fajeda, I thought was a step in elbow at first, but it was just a really tight check hook that did it. And I was like, man, to generate that kind of power at close range like that, there's something to it.
Yeah, I mean, and he pounced and he didn't let him recover. We often see people, they jump to do the ground and pound, and then they literally do nothing with it. They lay on top of him. Right here, you definitely saw him pound, and dude, he was dribbling his head off the mat, and the ref could have stepped in a lot sooner, but he didn't. And then he waited even longer, and then Diego was like, dude, he left a big old hematoma on the fucking head of him after like he was knocked out. Like that's the part, is like the ref caused that basically. So
Yeah,
that's what
that
sucked.
the goose egg was definitely gnarly. That was a very large hematoma on the side of his head. So, yeah, I mean, good work for Hernandez, bad work for the referee, perhaps. But in this one, Hernandez gets another win, and like you said, 2 knockouts in a row. Hernandez calling for Michael Chandler. What do you think of that?
He's not a big enough name for that, brother.
I mean, you don't think that Chandler's stock is dropping far enough that doesn't somehow come to fruition?
Nah, they got to get Conor McGregor out of him before he's done.
He would certainly like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that all plays out. But good win for Hernandez.
No, seriously, great win for Hernandez.
Yeah, it was impressive. I would have thought that you would have been mad at him for running for a lot of that fight, in quote unquote. Like I wouldn't say that he was running, but he was very, elusive.
Nah, that's just his normal style. That's fine by me. He got a
Okay,
knockout. He knocked him. He's
all right.
cool. He's cool. He
Hey,
stood his base.
fair enough. Fair enough. I'm with that. One person that I'm not cool with is this next fighter. This is Kelvin Gastelum versus Dustin Stoltzfus, and of course, the big narrative coming into Noche was Kelvin Gastelum missing weight by 5 pounds, halfway to 10, halfway to a different weight class.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I don't know. It would actually be 15 in this one, wouldn't it? No, it's 10. It's 10. You're right. Sorry. But this fight, horrible. I don't know. Like, I mean, it wasn't the funnest because you realize that Dustin Stoltzfus is such a slow striker compared to Kelvin Gastelum, who just missed weight by 5 pounds. So it's just unfortunate to watch Kelvin Gastelum low-key style on Dustin on the striking, and then you watch Dustin just not be able to get any sort of grappling off against Kelvin, which is where he would thrive. And it just genuinely just hurt my heart because I was banking on Dustin to finish Kelvin. This was the finish of a lifetime right here, plus 800 on that. Like, and now I look like the idiot. But I was supposed to be big brained. Like this was a given because Kelvin Gastelum is on his way out. He's 1 foot in the kitchen and 1 foot in the ring. You know, like he needs to just go. If you can't make weight, get to the other weight class. And if you don't want to do that, brother, you are in the sport where it is mandatory to make the weight. And well, obviously not mandatory. Apparently, it's just suggested. So
Well,
whatever.
and let me also say why it's so upsetting when it comes to Kelvin Gastelum specifically, is because Kelvin Gastelum, we know that fighters will miss weight after going through hell to try to make that weight. There are fighters who they're in the foil, they're in the tent, they're sweating themselves to death. We're just talking about in the Bruised
Oh, I was
movie.
gonna say Holly Berry knows all about this.
Exactly, and but so a good example of it. I mean, fictional, of course, but I'm saying, like that we have seen that out of fighters going through absolute torture to make the weight, and they still miss the weight occasionally, and that is unfortunate on their part. Kelvin Gastelum just doesn't try. He
Mhm.
goes in, he is completely okay. He literally had the fucking nerve to say, "I took this fight on 4 weeks' notice and couldn't make the weight in time." Brother, 4 weeks to come in 5 pounds over, like you did not try. We know you don't try, bro. We see you on your blogs eating tacos. We know what you're doing outside of the ring. You're not respecting the sport, and you're not respecting your opponent either, because you come in with all of that weight, and the weight cut is not bad. That's what I started off with that, is that like when fighters go through the hell to make the weight and still miss it, they're generally coming into the fight depleted. It was a hard cut. It becomes more of a detriment to them than a benefit, that extra half pound or whatever. When you come in off the couch, you're fresh as fuck. You don't have to rehydrate. Like there's
Mhm.
nothing, there's no problems that you're coming in with. So you have all of the advantages of those 5 pounds, as opposed to a fighter who is trying their hardest and failed.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. It's like everybody in the sport. I mean, you have people that are trying their hardest to make these weights, and it's because that's what's going to get them paid. And then you have Kelvin Gastelum who just doesn't give a fuck, and he's just going to show up at whatever weight and do whatever the fuck he wants, and he keeps getting away with it. And Dana just keeps letting it happen. Like I don't get how out of all people you have John Jones, Conor McGregor, Kelvin Gastelum who you let walk all over you. What's the deal?
I don't get it either, especially at this point. It's not like Kelvin Gastelum is setting the world on fire with these fights either. I mean, this fight, like you were
He's a Hall of
saying,
Famer. Chill, dude.
no, that well, and look, that was always going to be my go-to, right? I've said that before in the past, but it's like the Izzy fight was a long time ago now. I mean, like in the time between the Izzy fight and now, we have seen a lack of consistency in the ring, in the cage, and when it comes to missing weight consistently. I mean, there's your consistency, is him missing weight. I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that, before this even happened, or right when we found out that he had missed weight, you sent me that article where Stoltzfus was saying, "Oh yeah, he can come in overweight, whatever. I'll take the money," and all that kind of stuff. He knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, if your opponent is already anticipating you missing weight and then you miss weight, bro, that is a major problem and a major slap in the face, not only to Stoltzfus but also to MMA.
Yeah, I definitely agree. This one was just a hurtful performance because Dustin was not able to overcome the striking, and
Yeah.
it didn't really matter what the weight cut was like because Kelvin is a fat guy who with fast hands, and that's just the truth of the matter.
Yeah, I mean, Stoltzfus was having some success early in the fight. He had those kicks that were pretty good. He was defending pretty well early on. I thought his activity in that first round was good. I gave him the first round. I thought that he came out the gate with the right idea, but Kelvin consistent with the speed of the hands, like you're saying, and also harnessing the power. I mean, that's why I said, all that extra weight went right to his hands. So, good on him for using it effectively. But I also just wanted to at least mention that Dustin, he may have lost this fight, but he's a tough dude because he stayed in there. I mean, he kept at it.
Yeah.
He made it competitive against this plus 5 pound blob for all 3 rounds. So I got to give him the credit where credit is due. I'm glad he gets 35% of the purse on top of everything. But, Kelvin's fat ass takes it 2-1.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, I was sad for that, and I like Dustin Stoltzfus. I think he's better than this fight would lead one to believe if this was the only fight that you'd seen of his.
Hmm.
But again, 5 pounds makes a big amount of difference. So it is what it is.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, moving on again here. Rafa Garcia versus Jared Gordon. Now, this one also has an interesting little backstory to it that we all found out about after the fact. So this would have been really good information for the bettors to find out beforehand. But Jared Gordon apparently got his foot ran over by a car before this fight, like the day before this fight, to be exact. This is some wild stuff. Apparently, not only did it run over his foot, but the way that the car was turning, it also tore his MCL, I want to say.
Yeah, he tweaked it in some manner. Yeah.
I mean, so this is some crazy stuff. Yeah, Bilal was tweeting about it after the fact, and then Jared himself came out with a statement saying all the details of it. Trooper for still taking the fight. He ended up having a knee brace on when he came into the cage. But like I said, he's definitely a trooper and definitely a tough guy, and he actually did pretty well. This was a really good fight, I thought. But maybe it might have been more appropriate to not.
Yeah, it's funny you said this was a really good fight. I said, if there was, any other option for fight of the night other than the main event, it probably was this one.
Oh, certainly.
But yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was just bar room brawl, no head movement, throw hooks type of deal. I can't tell you what his name is that I mistakenly thought Rafa Garcia was somebody else. But it worked out in my favor because I had 600 XP on verdict for Rafa Garcia knockout. I'm the 12th ranked person in the world for this card right here. So shout
Wow.
out to everybody who made this possible because Rafa Garcia is a fucking savage for this. So
He is a very durable and very solid striker. I mean, they're talking about his wrestling game like that was the major the major selling point of Rafa Garcia. I'm like, this dude needs to stay on his feet more, man, because this dude comes out like, and as I said, taking Jared was throwing. I mean, this was solid striking on both sides. Started off a little slow. I said that the first round was like a bit of a feel out round, but those second and third rounds were like both really decent intensity. And they were both hanging in there. Like you said, not a lot of head movement, just you throw, I throw,
yeah.
and hey, may the best man win.
Yeah, no, this one was really interesting because it was supposed to go to decision all along, and then we just get a random incident in the third that cracks Jared. He goes down. Rafa starts this massive ground and pound sequence, and then the ref just doesn't want to stop it while Jared Gordon is dying. Kerry Hatley is witnessing a man die, and he just did not care. So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was that bad. I mean,
dude, this one was bad.
this
This
one was
one
one
was
of the
pretty
bad
bad.
ones. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because yeah, the finishing sequence after a round and a half of very, very intense back and forths was Rafa Garcia had shot folds Jared. Rafa ends up going for the rear naked. He abandons that, and then the elbow TKO came right after that. While Jared was on the ground. So, yeah, maybe not the best, but great performance for Rafa Garcia. And like I said, very tough guy. That Jared had a cut that looked like it was worse than it was. It turned out to not be as bad, but he was quite bloody there for that second round. So, obviously everything that Garcia was doing was effective, and Jared was holding his own for up until he couldn't, right up until the very end there. So I really enjoyed this fight. I thought that it showed the heart of both of these guys. And it goes back to what I was saying about Jared Gordon, either on the last episode, definitely on the watch along, about like why I really don't understand why he does not have more fans. I think that he is a go out there and get it done kind of fighter. Obviously extenuating circumstances in this one a little bit. And even if he did lose it without those extenuating circumstances, I thought that he put his all into the fight like he always does. So I'm a fan of Jared Gordon.
Yeah, 100%. Flash Gordon he's pretty lit. I mean, after his last win against Tiago Moises, I was definitely I was like, okay. I mean, I get it. Sure. Cool. He's a pretty fun guy on the mic, little personality. And then taking a fight after getting hit by a car or run over by a car, slowly run over. He got cement trucked is basically what happened, is what I'm hearing. But yeah, shout out to him for taking the fight. I mean, game as hell. I'll give you that.
Yeah, absolutely, and a very fine victory for Garcia as well. So good fight.
Hell yeah.
All right. The co-main event of this thing was Rob Font versus David Martinez. Martinez in on short notice, filling in for Raul Rosas. This was a massive statement.
Yeah, no, this was a good fight. Definitely massive statement for David Martinez. I unfortunately feel about this fight as I felt with some other ones. It's like the fight was happening, but there just wasn't the moments that really had me engaged with it. Like this was just 3 rounds of watching Rob Font walk forward, David Martinez walk to the side and throw punches. I mean, and they were landing, but like there was only one real moment in the third quarter, in the third round, excuse me, where Rob Font got rocked and that you actually saw him like take, but he was retreating a little bit, but it didn't amount to anything, and it was just an easy David Martinez win on short notice, surprisingly.
Yeah, I think that this surprised a lot of people, especially considering Rob Font is the guy who is the prospect killer. I mean,
Mhm.
he's the dude who took Gene Masamoto down a peg. He's Kyler Phillips, another one. I mean, this guy Rob Font is the dude who can overcome the youngsters. He's one of those guys that defies his age a little bit, but not this time. It really goes back to the same notes that I had about Alexander Hernandez. It's just that Martinez is so fast. I mean, he is extremely fast on his feet, very light on his feet as well. And he really was able to just get past a lot of what Rob was trying to do, get past it and get out of the way of it. I mean, like he just anytime that Rob was trying to set something up, what I had said too is that like Rob was only able to land single strikes because of the speed of Martinez. He was he really couldn't get combos off because anytime he would catch him, he was just gone. He was it was like you caught him one time and then he adjusted. So
Yeah. I
the
mean, he was running. If you want to talk about evasive and running, I mean, David Martinez, I get it was short notice and I get you're a little new to it, but like, and Rob Font is obviously going to walk you down the entire time, but like, I don't know, you were a little too evasive for my liking in this one.
well then, but so how can you say one about Hernandez and then this is running versus that?
Well, because Alexander Hernandez stood his base and cracked the dude after doing it for 2 rounds. So, I
Okay,
mean,
so yeah, the conclusion justifies
I
the.
mean, yeah, I mean, because like it's the same thing with Larone. It's like he doesn't run the entire time. No, there's the time where he'll stand and trade with you. He'll drop Ige. He'll knock out Pico. Any other things that you want to talk about? It's like Alexander Hernandez in this moment was a good one. He stopped, he stood his base, and he knocked the dude out. I don't know. There's just people who are point strikers, but just won't actually do that portion of it where it's the ending sequence. No, they do that until the judges have to tell them they won the fight. So I don't know.
Yeah, fair, fair. I mean, we this is one of those issues that we, kind of split a little bit on, but all 3 rounds I thought were pretty competitive, all things considered, with the amount of evasiveness. I thought, it's like you said, it's Rob Font is going one direction. Martinez is kind of following him in that same direction. So it's almost like this push and pull game that they're both having to play because Rob is trying to keep the pressure on. Martinez is trying to keep the pressure off and land strikes off the back foot a whole lot, which he
Yeah.
did. So because of that, though, it was like unfortunate for Rob because I really, I really like Rob Font and I appreciate that he's able to take these guys down a peg who are surging up, just to show that the veteran status is warranted for Rob Font. But in this instance, I really kind of had to give all 3 rounds to Martinez. I thought that the stick and move was too strong. I thought that he really did command his presence when he was getting his shots off. Hit and get out of there, and don't get hit yourself. I mean, that's the name of the game, and he played the game pretty well.
I agree. Yeah, he's a young guy, and he definitely looked more like Melissa Martinez in this one. With how more. I mean, that's exactly how she fought. Is
True.
fights is exactly what this one was, and I'm not saying it's a bad way to fight, but I mean, it did win the fight. I just there's people who will have an evasive style and they'll never sit down on their punches, and there's people who will, and they'll end up knocking people out. So, I don't know.
Fair. I mean, he wanted to stand his base at the very end because Martinez points to the ground, and Rob Font wanted zero
Mm,
part of it.
no part of it. Yep.
Rob was not playing that game, but crowd was into it though. The crowd got so loud that Big Dan Mergliata couldn't hear the horn.
Dude, this was ridiculous. Oh my
Yeah.
god. No, this fight went an extra like 12 seconds. Like it was I don't give a fuck how loud that crowd is. You are the referee, dude.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was a terrible look for Dan Murgliata. Absolutely, especially Dan. That's why I said on the comment on the watch along too. I was like Dan Murgliata, who is Mister stuck up his own ass about being like a quality referee. He's like kind of carries himself like he's Mister Referee. And this is what I mean. We've seen. Remember that other time where it was like he was having he might have a hearing problem, Dan Murgliata. And I'm not memeing on that. I like because if you recall, there was that other time where like he was like he thought that the clapper was the horn. You don't
Mm.
remember what I'm talking about here? I'd have to remember which fight it was. It was a while back. It was maybe a couple months ago or something like that. But there was a time where they were somewhere outside of Vegas, and it was the clapper had sounded, and he was like, "Do I stop the wait? What?" He was like looking off to the officiating team or whatever to try to get some like guidance on it. And it's like, what is happening with Murgliata? So again, not trying to meme on the guy. And if he does have hearing problems, then that's, that's a serious issue and all of that. But when you are the referee, you're exactly right. I mean, you need to be in full control. And no matter how loud the crowd is, you have to stop the fucking fight when the fight's over.
Well, because these dudes were they were swinging at each other for an extra 12 seconds, and like these were pretty bad shots. Like I don't know, so I think that was definitely a crazy part.
Yeah, yeah, this is a very, very poor reflection on Murgliata. So get your hearing checked, brother. Like, again, no memes. All jokes aside, like if there's something legitimately wrong there, then you need to have that looked into. And also, you should not be refereeing a sport where people's lives are at stake.
Yeah, you should also just not be checking your prostate with your own head, but it is okay.
Fair, yes, yes. Get a medical professional to do that for you. All right. Main event of the evening was Diego Lopes versus Jean Silva. And man, let me tell you, this is the type of fight that, I think I said it on the watch along too, that, there's nothing like mixed martial arts. It's the greatest sport in the world. And fights like this really reinforce that to me.
I was just really confident in the sentiment that Diego is just not a pushover. Like that's the only thing that I could say that I was confident in. Mank was mad at me because I couldn't tell him how he was going to beat Jean Silva, but like I just knew he was not going to back up. He was not going to get bitched like all these other people that Jean Silva is striking with. And Jean Silva's confidence just got a little too ahead of him. He was having too much fun. Diego wanted no part of the fun. And in the first round, he showed him exactly what time he was on. As soon as, what's crazy, I heard for weeks that Diego Lopes can't shoot a double leg. Never needed to in this fight, not once. Gets the waist lock, picks him up, and throws him straight to the ground into full mount and elbows the fuck out of him. The funniest thing about this, too, is the face that Diego makes. Like, as soon as he gets full mount, he looks over at the camera like, all right, I mean, I told you guys. I told you this was going to happen. And then in the first elbow he drops, busts him open on the top of the head. He's bleeding all over the place. Jean Silva is hugging for his life. Holy shit, is this dude just on his back? Whatever. Second round starts. Um, is a little closer than I would have wanted it to be in that moment. I was definitely maybe about to eat some words from what I was saying in the first round because John Silva actually did he looked a lot better. He was actually getting Diego to back up a little bit, but Diego stopped doing that after, a decent amount of time. He kept walking forward, got him down again. We're grappling. John Silva actually gets up. What's funny about the live odds is John Silva gets taken down for the second time in this round. The live odds have him at minus money, almost minus 200, while Diego Lopes has got him inside control and, murdering him. Anyway, so Jean Silva gets up. Diego retreats back to the cage after some striking and then lands a decapitating elbow that just ruins John Silva's life, has him bloodied up instantly. The amount of blood that was already on Diego's leg after the cut was pretty insane. Like it genuinely it was a can opener of a type of strike because it wasn't, when you see spinning elbows, a lot of people they come down with it. John Jones, he comes down with the elbow. When Diego spun it, he really just ripped upwards and it just like took dude's whole eyelid off, dude. It was really genuinely something that people never expected to see out of Diego Lopes, and that's exactly why. And I'm going to stand on this. Diego Lopez is somebody as of a Charles Oliveira. You're never going to give him the respect because look at the record. Look how many times he's lost. He's given up before. We got plenty of clips of him losing by TKO, whatever you want to say. But as of right now, this dude's on a roll, and I'm telling you, he's going to continue it because John Silva's just another name in the long legacy of Diego Lopez. This dude is a fucking Chad, bro.
I mean, I don't think anybody ever thought that Diego Lopez was a pushover or a slouch. I
They
mean,
were
like,
though they thought John Silva was going to be the one to show that, and I. But anyway, go ahead.
perhaps. I mean, if that was, yeah, I mean, anybody who had that perception of him or thought that that was going to be how this went down, I would have certainly pushed back on, because I didn't think that this was going to be the quote unquote fraud check of Diego Lopez here. I mean, the man just fought for a title not too long ago and held his own in a title fight. So, I
Hmm.
mean, that was never in the cards as far as I was concerned. I thought that Silva would be able to, use the creativeness that he comes in with a little bit more effectively. And having seen him submit Bryce Mitchell, I was like, okay, there's ground game too. So, all of those things together, maybe he's the most well-rounded of the nerds. And we come to find out that is certainly not the case. Although I do want to give him credit because he was in that mount that you had mentioned. He was getting slammed all around in that mount, and the lot of heavy top pressure coming down on it, and he was able to get out of it. So at least there was that, because what I said about the mount in general, you don't see full mount like that in the UFC like ever anymore, because a lot of it's a dangerous position to be in because you can easily get reversed, and it can the tides can turn very quickly when you're open like that. You're off the center of gravity is firm, but like if you get off of that, you're in a compromised position. You can't really, it's harder to scramble back. So shout out to Diego for having the balls to go full mount like that, not worrying about anything that Silva was doing underneath him. And then shout out to Silva for being able to get out of it again. I appreciated the ability there. But you were absolutely correct about Diego having no part of any of Silva's little gamesmanship bullshit that he likes to pull, because that was a lot of what we were seeing in that second round, certainly. And even starting off the fight, like Silva, he's got this little like wily sort of like way about him where he's kind of like, he's very surly, and he's got that like look, and he's going to be like, he wants to talk to you and he wants to dap you up and all this kind of like. Diego was a fucking stone face killer. He saw a million miles through all of that stuff, and just eye on the prize, kept it going. And you're absolutely right as well about that second round. It was amazing that Diego was able to turn the tables the way that he did, because he was taking some shots. And Silva, the creativeness that you expected out of Silva was on display in that round, because he was throwing all kinds of different stuff. This guy has such an arsenal of weaponry that he likes to go with. The feints plus the variety of striking is very it's impressive. I mean, it's a lot, but Diego is still able to find the shot. What do you what are you
Listen. I
making
mean,
faces and noises?
I agree that it is the arsenal is there, but I do not want to sit here and hear that in this matchup he showed this crazy level of creative striking, because none of the shit there was three elbows that this dude threw in against Diego in the second round. All of them whiffed, and you got DC fucking. Oh my god, this guy's fucking good, and it's like, dude, oh my god, he missed all the fucking strikes and then get knocked out 2 seconds later. Like, okay, sure, whatever, I'll listen to it. But like, I said it, Diego's basic boxing is gonna get it done, and then throw in a spinning elbow and call it a day. I mean, Jean Silva got fucked over, and he was, like I said, we were gonna leave that dude crying back to the nerds, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, your nerds haterisms are on full display here as always, so that needs to be acknowledged. But
I don't think it's not haterism if I was right. I mean, truly, if I was realistic about what I expected and I was right, I can't say that I was hating. I do like the nerds, like they're cool. Carlos Freitas is the best one of them right now, but I saw it coming with a lot of them. I called Imavov, I called BSD. Diego Lopez was no different. Man, I even had Ian Gary if we want to get down to it, but whatever we want to say. But I don't know.
all right, fair enough, fair enough. I mean, I guess probably want to at least touch on the questionable legality of some of those elbows from Lopez when he was on top. I went back and re-looked at it. I slow-moed it a little bit, and I counted 3 illegal elbows personally. I mean, not questionable enough, I guess. Definitely not for Mike Beltran because he was right on top of it.
I didn't see anything wrong with him in the moments. I mean, that's the only thing Diego's really able to do when somebody's got their face on your chest and holding your back as tight as they can. I if it's illegal to anybody, I mean, sure, but as of me watching the fight, I mean, he was getting him off his chest. So, shout out to him.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you still, an illegal strike's an illegal strike regardless. But yeah, I mean, it goes back to the whole Mohawk zone situation. But of course, Silva with a shaved head, it's kind of hard to know where the top of the head starts. Perhaps I don't know, maybe. But I mean, it looked like he just went. Top of the head is not legal, so I don't know. A couple of them looked slightly questionable, I suppose. And then aside from the finish being really nice, I guess the other thing to mention is that Mr. Silva did not take this loss very well. He punched Diego in the back of the head.
That is actually what is crazy about it, because like when you I didn't actually watch it in real time. Like I didn't see that portion of it. I must have, went to the bathroom or something. But somebody was like, "Oh my god, John punched Diego after it." I'm thinking like, "Oh, okay, punched him." And then when I see it from one angle, it looks like he just kind of shoves him. And that's what I was thinking. But then like no, there's another angle where he legit like punches him, and that's pretty crazy. And
Yeah.
people are giving an excuse because he was concussed and shit. I'm like,
Oh yeah, no. All yeah, get out of here with that shit. No, you don't do that regardless. Yeah, no, nothing. He was definitely not. He didn't think he was still in the fight. He knew he had lost, and he was upset about losing.
true. And it's not even like Diego was over there doing anything crazy. Like he was like, hunched over talking to the team at the cage. He might have been talking shit, but it's not like he was like flipping them off. Like he did that to the crowd and everybody else who was rooting for him, which total Chad move. You always got to go flip off the crowd. Love that.
I think that they had said that Diego was actually jawing at the nerds at Silva's team. They had said that Diego was not having any of this trash talk that was going on before this fight. You could tell that he was taking some of this stuff pretty personally. I mean, like
Good.
yeah,
That's how you win fucking fights.
yeah,
Shit.
and he was on the mic, a trilingual Diego Lopez here, speaking, or maybe like 2.5 lingual. I guess his
Hmm.
English wasn't the best, but all power to him and credit for going for it in English. And but he was saying that he's like, I was telling everybody this is an easy fight for me, and these guys are talking shit, and I didn't appreciate it. So
Yeah. No, I love Diego. I've been riding for him since the beginning, and this was one where you really have to pick a side, and it's gonna work out or it's not. And I was happy that it worked out for Lopez, but if it didn't, I would have been okay that me and Diego rode together till the end.
fair. Well, I mean, this is pertinent. So shout out to the Mank, but Mank thought that the elbow was a bit of a fluke. What do you say to that?
Um, he also thinks it was AI, so you can't really ask him much. I mean, he doesn't really know what he saw. He fell asleep during the last couple main events, so it's whatever.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah. No, I mean, really, just a solid movement from Diego, and almost like a perfect storm kind of situation. So, I mean, in that sense, I guess you could kind of say that, yeah, it was maybe not planned. Sure. I don't think that he necessarily planned to knock him out with it, but
Brother, there's a screenshot that shows you multiple different locations of Diego doing that move. I mean, he seems pretty confident that he set that up, but that's everybody when they get a knockout.
yeah. Well, I mean, I only say that because he was definitely in motion and he was definitely evading at the time after taking a bunch of shots himself because he got stunned right before that. But either way, if it was a wherewithal to be able to have it as a setup, lure him into the trap, I'm good with that too. I mean, either which way, I mean, it was so well placed. And after having taken the amount of adversity that he took in that round, to be able to place it as perfectly as he did with the amount of power that he did in motion and after being slightly rocked, come on, man. You got to give it up to the guy.
Yeah, no, 100%. Diego came in with the stash and he put the cowboy hat on and rode off in the night. It was nice.
Mustache, mullet, power. How
Yeah.
many times that's the way we're saying is that the same power that Dalia derived from his third nipple is the power that Diego derives from the mustache.
Isn't it crazy that Diego's aura has grown so much beyond the guy with the shitty tattoo on his chest. He's now the guy with the mullet and the mustache. He's now the guy with the cowboy hat.
Oh,
Like he's got.
he was always the emo mullet guy to me forever. But yeah, I mean the tattoo was almost secondary to the emo mullet. But now you're right. He's coming into his aura.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
like
I
he's
like it.
grown into it a little bit more. Yeah, I like it too. I'm a big fan. I was a big fan going into it. I had picked Silva on the show. I ended up taking Diego Lopes on the parlay, and two dogs. Actually, if you had taken Rafa Garcia on that parlay, I couldn't imagine how much that would have hit. But Martinez and Lopes both coming through for me. So all of my bets were paid for with those two guys. So thank you very much, gentlemen.
Hell yeah, that's a dope one.
Indeed. So that is Noche UFC. What did you think of Noche after we talked it through, Chase?
The main event made me think this was a lot better than it was, but I got to experience the best fight at the end. So that is the truth statement there. I really like to see Diego win, and the way that he did it was a fantastic fashion that led me to believe that the card was better than it probably was after talking about it.
Fair. I thought it definitely was not the greatest card of all time for sure, but I enjoyed it after main card started. I thought main card was pretty
Main
good.
card was solid.
Yeah. I thought that was the case. So, I gave it like a 6.5 personally. And I'm always a little bit more generous with that. I'm sure that you'd be going lower.
Yeah. Six and a half is pretty. It's fine. I can see that.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
We are off next week, or this coming week rather. We have no fights, so as always, next episode of this show will be a next week's fights. We'll be doing our predictions, so we will do a very quick rundown of the next card, just so that you are aware what we are going to be predicting on. But slightly dramatic drop off in quality, perhaps, for this fight night, but it is out there in Australia, so cool. Let's go through some of this a little bit, and we will close it out after that. You've got the main event, Carlos Ulberg versus Dominic Reyes, followed by the co-main being Junior Tafa and Ibo Aslan. God, that's a co-main event. Good Lord. Next up after that is Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Tavares, Florida man over there. Hopefully he'll come out with something. Jimmy Crute is fighting Ivan Urslan. Jake Matthews is fighting Neil Magny, the OG. The other Tafa, Justin Tafa, is fighting Louis Sutherland. I believe that's the he's Contender Series, yeah.
He's Scottish, so I don't know.
I thought that maybe he's not Contender Series. I thought that I remember Sutherland from that, but either way, yes. So the Scotsman representing. Hopefully, something good there. Navajo Sterling versus Adolfo Bellotto, who I am amazed that they're bringing back for another fight after what he pulled in his last one. But they're trying to feed him to Navajo Sterling. After that, Luma Lukbunmi versus Alexia Thayanara. Jonathan McAuliffe versus Oban Elliott. Colby Thickness versus Josias Musasa. Jamie Malarkey versus Rolando Bedoya.
They don't even got pictures for these two dudes, bro. This shit sucks.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Next up is Michelle Montague versus Luana Carolina. Yeah, Brando Perisic versus Alicia Ellison. Brando Perisic versus Alicia Ellison.
Are these women?
Yeah, I would say, are these men or women? I wonder.
I don't know.
I would assume that they're women. Brando, an interesting name for a woman. Yeah, I don't know.
But Alicia's also an interesting name for a man.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. It could go either way. We'll find out together, I guess. And Cam Rouston versus Andre Petrosky as the first fight of the night. How they doing Andre Petrosky like that? Jesus.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts, but I think I might get paid on that one, so we'll see.
Perhaps. I mean, we'll find out all of our predictions on the next episode of this fine show. Be back next Monday, 10 o'clock p.m. for that. In the meantime, tomorrow night is the Contender Series. I will be watching live at youtube.com/@YamaShow. Chase, you might not be watching live, but where can they find you for your watch-alongs?
They will always find me doing watch-alongs for the UFC content on youtube.com/@CPSmalls. Always a great time.
There you go. I am on Twitter and Instagram @YamaShow as well. Make sure you follow myself and Chase. See you tomorrow for the Contender Series. Still going to be working quite a while on getting the Bruised review out, but the editing process has started. One more quick shout out to the homie Bloomis for the great last week's fights theme song that you will hear in just a moment here.
Oh
Appreciate that.
yeah.
And we will see you in the next episode, everybody. Have a great rest of your night, great rest of your week. And as always, fight on.